Mo Shu was also a little confused. The first individual battle had just taken place yesterday. Logically speaking, everyone should fight against each other once. However, Mo Shu had forgotten that common sense did not exist after coming to the cosmic tuition class. Wang Lei continued, "You guys are very outstanding. The second lesson is over. The second lesson is to familiarize yourself with your skills. From yesterday's match, all of you have a certain personal understanding of your skills. Today, we will be having a team battle." A team battle? The four of them sighed at how Wang Lei and Wang Yu had so many tricks up their sleeves. Why did they come up with another team battle? Next, Wang Yu began to explain the rules. Let's add something fun to the team battle. There's only one rule this time: snatch the flag. Snatch the flag. Usually, there would be some group battles in university. However, the rules of the competition would be that a team would achieve victory when no members of the opposing team were on the field. They had never heard of team battles or snatching the flag. Wang Yu continued, "That's right, the rules are: firstly, each team will have a small flag. The team members will decide who they place the flag on. When the member with the flag on them goes out of bounds, the opposing team will win. Secondly, if the person that goes out of bounds doesn't have a flag on them, they will enter the waiting area and be revived in 1 minute. Thirdly, if you are knocked down by the opponent, you will be eliminated." Wang Lei used a pile of chairs to form a circle and created an opening in the circle. Then, he said, "This is the revival area. As for the groups, Mo Shu and Lu Ziyang will form one team, while Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan will form the other team." After that, he handed the 2 palm-sized flags to the 2 teams. The moment the 4 of them saw the flags, they understood that the key to victory was to hide the flags and not let the opponents know who held them. After that, Wang Yu gave each team half an hour to discuss their tactics. Mo Shu could still use God's Eye once. He didn't choose to use it on Yu Yuan, but on Lu Ziyang instead. Mo Shu basically knew Yu Yuan's skills. Furthermore, at times like this, understanding his teammates' skills was more important. First skill. Afterimage. Skill effect. When the user is attacked, the user turns into an afterimage. After 1 second, the user can choose to appear anywhere within a 1-meter radius of their original position. After triggering the skill, the user's first critical hit, attack power is doubled, will increase by 50%. Duration. 1 minute, user's speed enhances state. Cooldown. 2 hours. Unexpectedly, the fatty Lu Ziyang typically did not seem clever, but he had hidden most of his skills. When he introduced the skill, Lu Ziyang did not say that his speed would increase after releasing the skill, nor did he mention anything about critical hits. After what had happened yesterday, Mo Shu wasn't as careful when using the God's Eye. The discovery of Elder Tang's presence was also beneficial. At least it proved that Elder Tang, Wang Lei, and Wang Yu had no evidence to prove that he had a second skill. Otherwise, they wouldn't have probed him yesterday. Hence, in the future, Mo Shu would be able to use God's Eyes openly. Even someone like Wang Yu would not be able to see through it. No one in this world would be able to. Half an hour later, the 4 of them entered the arena. Wang Lei and Wang Yu took out a table and started munching on melon seeds. They didn't look like teachers at all. Begin. At the start of the competition, the 4 of them did not use any skills and entered the probing stage. Mo Shu and Lu Ziyang were the first to move. The 2 of them moved apart. This was because Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan's skills were very suitable for engaging in teamwork. If the combination of Mo Shu and Lu Ziyang was like adding 1 and 1 to produce 2, then the result of Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan teaming up was more than 2. Thus, Mo Shu and Lu Ziyang separated at the start as they wanted Mu Qingyi and Lu Ziyang to split up and deal with them. They wanted to form 2 groups, with each member of the group fighting each other 1-on-1. Mo Shu and Lu Ziyang were not too far away from each other. If Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan chose to attack one person at the same time, they could quickly provide support to each other. Mo Shu and Lu Ziyang slowly approached Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan from both sides. Meanwhile, Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan too didn't seem to notice Mo Shu and Lu Ziyang. Instead, they remained indifferent. Just as Mo Shu felt that something was wrong, Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan moved at the same time. They attacked Lu Ziyang at an extremely fast speed, as if they had discussed it beforehand. Mo Shu knew that things were not looking good. His entire body flashed with golden light as he activated Descent of the Martial God and rushed to provide support. However, he was still a step too late. Mu Qingyi quickly used her flying dagger to block Lu Ziyang's escape path. Meanwhile, Yu Yuan had set up an array in advance. The ground below Lu Ziyang's feet flashed. After the array was triggered, he was frozen. Next, Mu Qingyi used the back of her flying dagger to hit Lu Ziyang's shoulder, causing him to fall to the ground. In the end, Mo Shu's speed could not compare to that of the flying dagger. He could only watch as Lu Ziyang was eliminated. It wasn't that Lu Ziyang couldn't dodge, instead, he didn't want to use his skills so easily. Perhaps it was because everything happened too suddenly. Wang Yu only reacted after a second and said, "Lu Ziyang is out of bounds. The competition continues." The competition continued. This meant that the flag wasn't on Lu Ziyang, but on Mo Shu. Lu Ziyang immediately came to the revival area. Meanwhile, Mo Shu also jumped back to pull away from Mu Qingyi. It was now 2 against 1. Mo Shu didn't have the confidence to defeat the two of them, so he wanted to stall for time until Lu Ziyang revived. However, Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan did something unexpected. The two of them did not choose to seize the moment to attack. Instead, they stood at the entrance of the revival area. Even Mo Shu couldn't help but sigh. "FCK, are you guys trying to collect the corpse?" Yu Yuan said, "Why? Did the rules say that we can't guard the corpse?" Mo Shu didn't have the confidence to defeat the two of them. Neither did they have the confidence to defeat Mo Shu within a minute. It was better to guard the revival area. Once Lu Ziyang came out, they would defeat him. As long as they could drag it out until the time limit of Mo Shu's skill was up, they could naturally win easily. Mo Shu couldn't help but say, "Yu Yuan, aren't you too shameless?" Yu Yuan looked towards Mu Qingyi, who grinned and said, "Mo Shu, this was my idea." Mo Shu said awkwardly, "Isn't that a little despicable?" As soon as these words came out, Yu Yuan was unhappy. If it was his idea, it would be shameless. However, if it was Mu Qingyi's idea, then it was a little despicable. Why was this the case? Yu Yuan pouted and said, "Mo Shu, your double standards are too much." Mo Shu also felt that his words were inappropriate and decided not to explain. However, the problem Mo Shu was facing now was not small. It was as if Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan were sitting at ease in a fishing boat despite the storms. Meanwhile, Mo Shu was in a dilemma. If he attacked now, it would be difficult for him to win against two opponents. However, if he didn't attack now, they would be able to stall for time. Time passed. Neither side made a move. For a moment, the battlefield was in a deadlock. Wang Lei asked Wang Yu, who was beside him, "Shouldn't we let them snatch the flag and let them compete normally? This is obviously a pure battle of wits." Wang Yu chewed on the melon seeds in his hand and looked at the arena seriously. "Brother, your actual combat ability is very strong. What you lack is the ability to set up traps. Just watch, the show is about to begin. Watch carefully. It might end in the blink of an eye." Mo Shu calculated the amount of time that had passed. It was almost time for Lu Ziyang to revive. He couldn't delay any longer. Step by step, he walked towards Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan. When Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan saw that Mo Shu had moved, they also perked up, knowing that the time for the decisive battle had arrived. "Time's up. Lu Ziyang has been revived. Time's up. Lu Ziyang has been revived." When Lu Ziyang heard that he had been revived, he did not walk out immediately. Instead, he paused for a second to prevent Yu Yuan from setting up an array. Sure enough, with a flash from the ground, an array was triggered. Lu Ziyang successfully dodged it. However, Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan were really too close. The moment Lu Ziyang came out, the two of them did not use any more skills and directly attacked him. At this moment, Mo Shu also took the opportunity to arrive in front of the three of them. Meanwhile, when Lu Ziyang saw that the two of them were attacking, he immediately used his skill, Afterimage. Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan looked left and right. They thought that Lu Ziyang would appear near the two of them so that he could attack at the same time as Mo Shu. However, they didn't expect Lu Ziyang to appear behind Mo Shu. Then, Mo Shu took out his flag and passed it to Lu Ziyang. Yu Yuan shouted, "Not good." He stepped forward to interfere, but Lu Ziyang had already run far away. Currently, Lu Ziyang was holding the flag in the distance, while Mo Shu faced Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan alone. The situation had been reversed. Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan did not expect that Mo Shu would choose to help Lu Ziyang escape and face the two of them alone. The two of them were also clear that even though Mo Shu was unlikely to defeat both of them, it was not a problem for him to eliminate Mu Qingyi in a one-on-one battle. If only Yu Yuan and Lu Ziyang were left to fight, Yu Yuan had already used the array twice, while Lu Ziyang was still very energetic. Thus, Yu Yuan's chances of winning were not high. Yu Yuan decisively released two array formations around Mo Shu and grabbed him. Mu Qingyi, go! Mu Qingyi ran forward, while Mo Shu broke free from Yu Yuan and dodged two array formations as he chased after Mu Qingyi. When Mu Qingyi saw that Mo Shu did not choose to eliminate Yu Yuan first and was instead heading towards her, she immediately activated her skill and moved the flag into Yu Yuan's hands. Yu Yuan, who received the flag, stopped and hid it behind his back. Right now, Mo Shu was about to catch Mu Qingyi, but when he saw that Yu Yuan did not chase after him, he immediately turned around and changed directions. Mu Qingyi also saw Mo Shu's actions and immediately activated the second displacement. She kept the small flag in her hand and turned around to continue attacking Lu Ziyang. At this moment, Mu Qingyi heard two voices. Watch your back. Sorry. The first shout was from Yu Yuan, and it was very loud. The second was from Mo Shu behind Mu Qingyi, and his voice was very soft. Mu Qingyi turned around abruptly, but she was still too slow. Mo Shu pushed Mu Qingyi's shoulders with his right hand. His legs wrapped around Mu Qingyi's body as he quickly placed Mu Qingyi on the ground. Although Mu Qingyi was not weak, Mo Shu's speed and strength were much greater than hers thanks to his skill, Descent of the Martial God. At this moment, Wang Yu stood up and announced, Mu Qingyi has been eliminated. The competition has ended. Mu Qingyi quickly stood up and stared at Mo Shu. His gaze seemed to be saying, you clearly went back to deal with Yu Yuan. Why were you behind me? In reality, Mo Shu had only pretended and acted as if wanted to attack Yu Yuan. In reality, he had merely turned around and returned. Furthermore, the key to their victory lay in this feint. Wang Lei sighed and said, it was indeed exciting. This kid, Mo Shu, always brings us surprises. Wang Yu, did you guess this would be the outcome? Wang Yu shook his head and said, no, I just knew that the outcome would be decided soon, but I didn't expect it to be determined so soon. Wang Yu stood up and said to the audience, Mo Shu, tell me, how did you win? Actually, I just made a fake move to make Mu Qingyi think that I went back to attack Yu Yuan. Mu Qingyi pouted and said with a puzzled expression, I know that, but how did you know that the flag was with me? Mu Qingyi and Yu Yuan were somewhat unhappy that they had lost just like that. In their eyes, Mo Shu had made the right bet just now by choosing Mu Qingyi out of the two of them. If he had made the wrong bet, it would be hard to predict who would win. Mo Shu explained, it's very simple. I only thought about it from another perspective. What would I do if I were Mu Qingyi? I would hold the flag. Thanks to the spatial folding skill, I would be able to teleport the flag to my teammate the moment it falls to the ground. This way, nothing would go wrong. That's why the flag was definitely in Mu Qingyi's hands at the start. After confirming this point, the rest were all improvised. When I faced the two of you alone, Mu Qingyi went to chase after Lu Ziyang, while Yu Yuan stayed behind to pester me. This shows that Yu Yuan was not afraid of being eliminated. It also means that the small flag was still in Mu Qingyi's hands. Next, I went to chase after Mu Qingyi. Yu Yuan stopped after a few steps when I was about to attack Mu Qingyi. Even so, Mu Qingyi did not use any skills to counterattack, so there was only one possibility. The few of them listened attentively. That meant that Mu Qingyi had already used her skill, so she can't use her skill anymore. That's why I judged that Mu Qingyi had shifted the small flag to Yu Yuan's body. Mu Qingyi asked again, since you knew that the flag was with Yu Yuan now, why didn't you really attack him? Why did you use a fake move to trick me? Could it be that? Mo Shu smiled and said, that's right. The last time we fought, I knew that you had two skills, so I purposely made a fake move to let you take back the flag. Mu Qingyi rolled her eyes. How cunning. Wang Yu came to the center of the arena and said, "In this team battle, we wanted you guys to combine strategies with actual combat. In the beginning, Mo Shu's team placed too much emphasis on actual combat, while Mu Qingyi's team placed too much emphasis on strategy. However, the two members in Mo Shu's team combined both elements well towards the end. Meanwhile, Mu Qingyi's team still focused on strategy, so they lost." Wang Lei looked at Wang Yu in surprise. Wasn't this nonsense? How had Mo Shu combined strategy into his actions? Could it be that letting Lu Ziyang take the flag and watching the show by the side was his scheme? The key to victory in this battle was Mo Shu's ability to adapt on the spot. When Wang Yu saw the look in Wang Lei's eyes, he immediately gave him a look, telling him that the students were all here, so he shouldn't undermine him. Wang Lei added, "This is the third lesson on combinations. You have learned to combine strategy and actual combat, and to combine the skills of your teammates." Wang Yu continued, "All right, that's all for today. Everyone has their flaws in this battle. Go back and summarize what you have learned." In the evening, on a rock outside the courtyard, Mo Shu and Mu Qingyi sat there to chat. Ever since that conversation, the two of them had a tacit understanding. They would sit here every night for a while. There were times when they chatted, while there were other times when they sat quietly. "Mo Shu, can you summarize the inadequacies of today's battle? I'll learn from you too." "I don't think my team had any tactics. Instead, we wanted to win by fighting. That's my weakness." "What about mine? What mistakes did I make today? Do you want the truth, or do you want lies? Tell me the lies first." "You were simply flawless. If I didn't guess correctly at the last moment, you guys would have won." "Ha ha ha. What about the truth? Your methods were very lousy." "HMPH. Why were they lousy? Under such rules, your skill is practically a divine weapon. However, you were desperate to display this advantage, so you didn't show your true strength." "Yes. Although the lie sounds good, I still like to hear the truth." The two of them looked at the moon in silence. Mu Qingyi suddenly felt a little sad. She lowered her head and said, "Mo Shu, the college entrance examination is coming up soon. Which university are you planning to enter?" "I'm going to Yanjing University. What about you?" "I might go somewhere far away. Will we meet again?" "Of course, as long as you want to. At the training grounds of Shun City First High School." The day before yesterday, the entire school held their final mock exam before the college entrance examination. In the previous mock exam, since some students had yet to awaken their skills, there was no skill assessment. The last mock examination was the only test that included the skill assessment. In other words, the results of this test would be very similar to the results of the college entrance examination. Every student placed great importance on this exam. They would not hide their abilities. Today was the day for the results to be released. The school rankings were posted on the notice board in front of the field. This announcement caused a sensation in the entire school. In the past, the top two students in every mock exam were Mo Shu and Mu Qingyi. For the entire year, no one in the Year 3 batch had been able to do anything. This time, the first two names were unfamiliar. Wag Shenhu was in first place, with a total score of 910 points. Meanwhile, Lu Qingyu was in second place, with a total score of 893 points. The maximum score for the college entrance examination was 1,000 points. In the history of the school, there were very few people who scored more than 900 points. Thus, the results of these two people were a little exaggerated. Although Wang Shenhu was among the top 5 of Year 3 Class 1 and had gotten third place many times, he had never entered the top 10 in the entire school. Lu Qingyu was even more exaggerated. He had never entered the top 100 before. Thus, the sudden rise of these two people caused quite a stir in the school. As for the disappearance of Mu Qingyi and Mo Shu, there were also some rumors. The rumors about Mu Qingyi were more uniform. After all, everyone knew that Mu Qingyi's family background was very good. It was rumored that Mu Qingyi had been arranged by her family to transfer to a better high school for her final sprint. Meanwhile, there were many varied rumors about Mo Shu's disappearance. However, there were two types of rumors. One was from Mo Shu's best friend, Zheng Yi. Mo Shu was arranged to be an exchange student by the school and was currently at another school. However, there were many loopholes in this rumor. Firstly, the school had never heard of sending exchange students to other schools before. Secondly, even Zhang Yi could not say which school Mo Shu was currently in. Most people thought that Zhang Yi was trying to cover for Mo Shu. Something might have happened to Mo Shu. The second rumor was spread by someone else. Mo Shu had caused trouble outside and offended a big shot. Now, he was crippled and didn't dare to show his face. A good deed goes unnoticed, but a scandal spreads quickly. Furthermore, the rumors became more real and detailed over time. In the end, even the process of Mo Shu being beaten up was described in detail. Some even said that they had seen this scene with their own eyes. Rumors about Mo Shu quickly spread to Yi Qiner. Yi Qiner had been sad for a long time because of this. How could her benefactor encounter such a terrible thing? Because of this, Yi Qiner deliberately looked for Zhang Yi to ask about Mo Shu. Zhang Yi was also very annoyed. When the rumors spread, there was no way he could explain himself. He took out the message he sent to Mo Shu 2 days ago and showed it to others, but others said that Mo Shu was acting with him. Zhang Yi repeatedly assured Yi Qiner that Mo Shu would be fine and would definitely return before the college entrance examination before persuading her to leave. After Yi Qiner returned, she explained Mo Shu's situation to her class. However, no one listened to her and thought that she was infatuated. They even imagined how Mo Shu's return would be like. Some people were sad, but others were happy. Meanwhile, Wang Shenhu was the most comfortable person these days. Wang Shenhu had a hard time a while ago. When the news of him being taught a lesson by Mo Shu spread, he no longer had the airs of a young master. The detailed data regarding his skill would even affect his college entrance examination. He only managed to make a comeback after the results were out. Thus, he felt extremely comfortable now. Wang Shenhu's results were real. The reason why his strength had advanced by leaps and bounds was because his father had found a spirit ring for him. Spirit rings could directly raise the level of a skill to level 2. The price of a spirit ring could be said to be astronomical. Furthermore, no matter how expensive this item was sold for, there would definitely be people who would buy it. Therefore, the supply would not meet the demand. Wang Shenhu's father had spent almost all of his family fortune to buy this spirit ring. After consuming the spirit ring, Wang Shenhu's skill was upgraded to level 2. He could even be ranked among the top in other major cities, let alone Shun City. Now that his results had improved and the impact on his college entrance examination had been resolved, he was overjoyed to hear that Mo Shu was crippled. However, Wang Shenhu was not satisfied. On that day at the training grounds, Mo Shu had embarrassed him in front of so many people. How could he just let it pass? However, now that he couldn't find Mo Shu for revenge, Wang Shenhu could only target Zhang Yi. The next day, at the training grounds of Shun City First High School, hundreds of people gathered in the training grounds. They were all attracted by today's duel. It was a duel between Zhang Yi, who had previously fought the demonic eagle, and Wang Shenhu, the new king. Wang Shenhu had challenged Zhang Yi yesterday. With Zhang Yi's personality, he naturally would not refuse. The battle was not as intense as everyone had imagined. The entire process took less than 5 minutes. Wang Shenhu had crushed Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi lay on the ground and gritted his teeth. I admit defeat. The difference in skill levels was too great. Although Zhang Yi's skill was very strong, Wang Shenhu's original skill was not weak. Coupled with the fact that Wang Shenhu's skill was 1 level higher than Zhang Yi's, he easily defeated Zhang Yi. Wang Shenhu walked over and extended his right hand. Zhang Yi thought that Wang Shenhu wanted to help him up. He had just extended his hand when Wang Shenhu retracted it. After that, he kicked Zhang Yi's hand ruthlessly. Zhang Yi was caught off guard. Then, Wang Shenhu used all his strength, and Zhang Yi rolled on the ground in pain. Ah! Damn it, bastard! Wang Shenhu kicked him again. Who are you talking about? I didn't hear you clearly. Zhang Yi was sweating profusely from the pain. He gritted his teeth and said, just you wait. Yo, eldest young Master Zheng, why can't you beat him yourself? Are you looking for revenge? Zhang Yi trembled and did not speak anymore. The surrounding spectators also felt that Wang Shenhu had gone overboard. One of them came out and said, Wang Shenhu, you've already won. There's no need for this, right? Wang Shenhu widened his eyes and roared, what? Do you have a problem with that? Do you want to come down and spar? For a moment, no one dared to speak up for Zhang Yi. Wang Shenhu still felt unsatisfied and wanted to kick Zheng Yi again. Wait, sparring has always stopped when victory is determined. Why are you forcing him to retaliate like this? When Wang Shenhu heard this, he turned around and saw a thin man wearing glasses squeezing out from the crowd. Wang Shenhu said impatiently, "Who are you? Do you also want to exchange a few moves?" "My name is Lu Qingyu. I'm willing to spar with you." Lu Qingyu. Wang Shenhu recalled that Lu Qingyu was ranked second in the mock exam. He was also on good terms with Mo Shu. "All right, aren't you willing to stand out? We'll fight again tomorrow at this time." "Sure." Wang Shenhu glared at Lu Qingyu. Then, the crowd immediately made way for him and left. Lu Qingyu quickly helped Zheng Yi up and asked, "How are you? Are your injuries serious?" Zheng Yi looked at his right hand and sighed. "Sigh, I'm afraid it's a little serious." Lu Qingyu immediately sent Zheng Yi to the hospital. The test results were not ideal. His right wrist was fractured. "Zheng Yi, the college entrance examination is coming up soon. I'm afraid that your hand will affect the examination. I have medicine at home that can treat it, but the process is rather painful." Zheng Yi's face was pale. He waved his left hand and said, "I know what medicine you're talking about. I have it at home. I've used it before, so I know how painful it is. This damned Wang Shenhu." Lu Qingyu shook his head and sighed. Zheng Yi continued, "As for you, what are your chances of winning against Wang Shenhu?" "Less than 10%. It was early in the morning. It was also the 10th day since Mo Shu arrived at the cosmic tuition class. On the 4th day, after the group battle, Wang Lei set up the final test, which was to injure him. This made the four of them very vexed. If they couldn't even break through Wang Lei's defenses, how could they injure him? Over the past few days, Wang Lei and Wang Yu did not come up with any new tricks. They allowed the four of them to practice freely. Whenever they wanted to challenge Wang Lei, they would fight him. The four of them had fought with Wang Lei quite a few times, but the results were just as tragic. Every time, they were beaten until they could not fight back. Over the last 2 days, the four of them behaved abnormally and no longer challenged Wang Lei. Instead, they started fighting on their own, which surprised Wang Lei. There was something that made Mo Shu feel strange over the past few days. Zheng Yi sent a message 5 days ago saying that the school was spreading rumors about him, but Mo Shu told Zheng Yi not to mind them. Given Zheng Yi's personality, he would definitely not let the matter rest. However, he had not received any news from him for the past few days. Last night, Mo Shu asked Zheng Yi whether anything happened at school. Zheng Yi only replied with 2 words, "It's nothing." Mo Shu's instincts told him that Zheng Yi would definitely be fine. If not, Zheng Yi would not have acted so abnormally. He might as well return after today's assessment and see what happened then. The assessment began at 9 a.m. Other than Wang Lei and Wang Yu, there was another person Mo Shu was familiar with. It was Elder Tang. Mo Shu was still wondering why Elder Tang had not made any moves for the past few days. This time, he actually took the initiative to appear. Unlike Mo Shu, Mu Qingyi, Lu Ziyang, and Yu Yuan all looked very serious when they saw Elder Tang appear. Elder Tang sat down and said, "Don't worry about me. I'm just here to take a look. You guys just have to perform normally." The last time Mu Qingyi had introduced Elder Tang, she had stopped mid-sentence. He must have participated in a great battle. Thus, it seemed like Elder Tang's identity was not ordinary. Wang Lei walked to the center of the arena and said, "Kids, whether or not you can become a shadow depends on your performance this time." The four of them entered the arena. Then, Mo Shu stood at the front and said, "Can we begin?" Wang Lei spread out his hands and said, "The rules are the same as before. I will only use one skill. If you injure me, you win. Let's begin." Mo Shu activated Descent of the Martial God. Then, 3 rays of light rose from beneath his feet. The 3 metal rays stacked on top of Mo Shu's body. As a result, his attack power was rather impressive. Wang Lei narrowed his eyes. He obviously did not expect Yu Yuan's skill to be used in such a way. He had stacked arrays to increase Mo Shu's attack power. If that was the case, with Mo Shu's current attack power, a full power strike should be able to injure him. Wang Lei no longer stood still like before. Instead, he took the initiative to attack Mo Shu. Mo Shu used Baghuajang. Although it was only a basic martial art technique, it had relatively fewer weaknesses and was quite invasive. As for Wang Lei's moves, they didn't involve any actual moves. Instead, it was a typical military style of fighting. Every move was aimed at Mo Shu's weak point. Furthermore, he simplified his movements as much as possible without any unnecessary movements. Even if Mo Shu had an attack boost, he would still be at a disadvantage after 2 moves. At this moment, Mu Qingyi started to throw flying daggers to disturb Wang Lei. Meanwhile, Lu Ziyang wandered around, looking for an opportunity to attack Wang Lei from time to time. As for Yu Yuan, he took the opportunity to set up another array. This was a tactic that they used frequently before, so they were very familiar with it. Wang Lei said, "It's still the same. How boring. Can you come up with something new?" Seeing that they still had the same routine, Wang Lei gradually relaxed. He wanted to play with them for a while. Then, when he was done playing with them, he would deal with them together. Just as Wang Lei was relaxing, he suddenly realized that Mo Shu's attacking style had changed. It was no longer Baghuajang. Instead, every move was firm and unyielding. Why did it seem like? "Good boy. Are you using me for practice?" Wang Lei finally reacted. Wasn't the move Mo Shu used his own attack? He had actually learned his opponent's techniques at such a critical moment to become stronger. Even an expert of Wang Lei's level felt a chill in his heart. Wang Lei immediately changed his mind. He didn't want to drag this on any longer and wanted to end the battle as soon as possible. Mo Shu was too much of a variable. He wasn't a threat now, but it didn't mean that he would think of a move to injure him in the next second. Wang Lei began to attack ferociously, and Mo Shu immediately felt the pressure multiply. "Lu Ziyang, help me." When Lu Ziyang heard this, he immediately charged forward. He held his dagger and attacked Wang Lei a few times. However, Wang Lei wanted to get rid of Mo Shu. Lu Ziyang couldn't break through his defense anyway, so Wang Lei simply ignored him. As a result, the battle became a battle between Wang Lei and Mo Shu. Mo Shu struggled to hold on, while Lu Ziyang chased after Wang Lei but to no avail. Suddenly, Mo Shu staggered and was punched by Wang Lei. After taking a step back, Mo Shu actually punched Lu Ziyang. Wang Lei thought that Mo Shu had gone mad. He had even beaten up the members of his own team. He didn't care about anything else and continued to attack. However, Lu Ziyang's afterimage was triggered by Mo Shu's attack. In the next second, he appeared behind Wang Lei. 2 golden lights flashed, and 2 metal arrays were activated on Lu Ziyang. At this moment, Wang Lei realized that he had been tricked. Mo Shu had purposely hit Lu Ziyang just now. This way, he could trigger Lu Ziyang's afterimage. Previously, when he staggered, he had probably sent a signal to Yu Yuan and Lu Ziyang. During the battle a few days ago, Wang Lei also knew that Lu Ziyang's first attack after activating afterimage would result in a critical hit. Now, with the support of the metal array, his attack power could not be underestimated. He wanted to turn around and defend himself, but he was held back by Mo Shu. Wang Lei understood that this was their killer move. It had to be said that the older one was, the more experience they would have. Wang Lei did not turn around. Instead, he swung his right leg backwards with all his might. Although he did not kick Lu Ziyang away, he had also used most of his strength. Lu Ziyang's dagger did not cause any damage. Seeing that he didn't succeed, Mo Shu let go of him. Meanwhile, Wang Lei turned around and kicked Lu Ziyang far away. Right at this time, Mu Qingyi, who no one noticed, threw out 3 flying daggers. 2 of the flying daggers moved in midair and appeared in front of Wang Lei, completely blocking his line of sight. Thus, Wang Lei could only take a step back. The last flying dagger flew towards Mo Shu, who caught it. Since Wang Lei took a step back, this gave Mo Shu enough space to exert force. All his attributes had been increased by 100%. The increase in speed could increase his attack power. Meanwhile, the increase in his toughness and endurance could increase the amount of force exerted. As for the increase in defense, it could allow him to use their full strength without any worries. The strength that emerged from his feet on the ground reached his waist. Then, the strength in his waist reached his arms. Shua. Mo Shu attacked with the dagger. Blood dripped from Wang Lei's arm. They had succeeded. Together, the 4 of them made the impossible possible. We've succeeded. Lu Ziyang and Yu Yuan hugged each other to celebrate. Mu Qingyi also started to spin around excitedly. Elder Tang and Wang Yu sighed as well. These four people had improved so much in these 10 days. Meanwhile, Wang Lei retracted his armor and started clapping. You little guys are pretty impressive. Everything that happened before was fake. You were all hiding this final move. Everyone has improved. Yu Yuan used 5 metal arrays to increase Mo Shu and Lu Ziyang's attack power. Meanwhile, Lu Ziyang used Mo Shu's attack to activate Afterimage and almost injured me. Lu Ziyang and Yu Yuan were grinning from ear to ear. Mu Qingyi had the 2 flying daggers move at the same time to block my line of sight. She used her skill for this. Lastly, Mo Shu was too steady. Everyone looked at Mo Shu because everyone knew that Mo Shu was the greatest contributor. However, Mo Shu stood rooted to the spot, as if he hadn't moved since Wang Lei was injured. Actually, Mo Shu had been in a state of shock the entire time. What shocked him wasn't Wang Lei. Instead, just as he used his understanding of descent of the martial god to injure Wang Lei with all his power, a golden light flashed in his mind. His skill had been upgraded, Skill. God's Eye 2. Skill effect. Can check all the skills of 2 targets. Cooldown. 20 minutes. While Mo Shu was sighing at the power of his skill, he also had doubts. He had a deeper understanding of descent of the martial god, so why did God's Eye upgrade? Mo Shu hurriedly turned around and used his skills on Yu Yuan and Lu Ziyang. He did not use it on Wang Lei and Wang Yu. This was still out of caution. After the skill was released, it became Descent of the Martial God. When Mo Shu saw the skill introduction, he was stunned. Skill. Descent of the Martial God 2. Skill effect. Increases all attributes by 300%. Duration. 10 minutes. Cooldown. 1 hour. Both skills had been upgraded, and it was a huge upgrade. Mo Shu was stunned for a long time and couldn't control himself. His skills had been upgraded through training. However, why was it that when his understanding of a skill increased, both skills upgraded? Mo Shu looked at the dim skill pattern of his passive skill, Flip. Could it be because these 2 skills occupied the same skill position? Wasn't this so-called passive skill too powerful? Mo Shu. Mo Shu. Mo Shu returned to his senses and saw Mu Qingyi patting his shoulder. Mo Shu, what's wrong? Mo Shu said in embarrassment, I was too excited and lost focus, I'm sorry. Then, he said to Wang Lei, Teacher, have we passed? Wang Lei said, You passed, you passed. You guys are really something to be able to injure me in a fight. It was unknown when Elder Tang had left, but Wang Yu was the only one sitting in the chairs. Then, Wang Yu stood up and said, All right, you've passed. Take a rest and have lunch. I'll tell you about joining the shadow organization in the afternoon. Mo Shu didn't return to his room. Instead, he went to an empty spot outside the courtyard by himself. Compared to joining the shadow organization, the upgrade of his skills made Mo Shu even more excited. After all, strengthening oneself was the foundation of everything. Mo Shu released his skill, eager to test the power of descent of the martial god. When the 300% increase in attributes took effect on Mo Shu's body, he finally understood why this skill was called Descent of the Martial God. At this moment, Mo Shu felt like he was a martial god. His entire body was filled with power. With a punch, the sound of rushing wind could be heard. If the current Mo Shu were to fight Wang Lei, who had only used 1 skill, he might not win, but it would be no problem for him to injure Wang Lei. Suddenly, a black shadow appeared. This black shadow gave Mo Shu a very dangerous feeling. Without another word, Mo Shu threw a punch. It was as if this punch had landed on a piece of cotton. A sense of powerlessness was produced before a surge of energy surged over, forcing Mo Shu to take several steps back. Not bad. I knew you were acting weird just now. It turns out that your skill has been upgraded, and the degree of this upgrade is not small. The skill should have increased all of your attributes by 300%, right? Mo Shu looked over. This person was Elder Tang, who had just disappeared. Mo Shu immediately put up his guard. He still didn't know if Elder Tang was a friend or a foe. Elder Tang laughed out loud. Don't worry, you don't have the strength to make me take action yet. Mo Shu said, Elder Tang, I'm very grateful for the opportunity to come to the cosmic tuition class, but you don't know what my motive is, do you? Mo Shu nodded. Elder Tang continued, when you're old, you have to find some fun. Otherwise, it'll be too boring. My interest is to understand everyone who enters the library, and this interest has continued for many years. Then can you understand me? Know you're special and have a lot of secrets. However, I've changed my mind now. I'm not going to understand you anymore. Mo Shu was alarmed again. What did he mean? Was he trying to silence him? Ha ha ha. I want to take you in as my disciple. How about it? Take me in as your disciple? Is there anything special about me? The starting point and growth rate of your skill is very strong. When Wang Yu taught you about the theories, there was something that he didn't mention. What was it? Skills are relatively fair. Usually, the easier it is to upgrade a skill, the smaller the increase in the skill after upgrading. This means that the skill has a low growth rate. Meanwhile, if it is difficult to upgrade a skill, there will usually be a large increase after the skill is upgraded. Mo Shu understood what Elder Tang meant. Descent of the martial god was very strong at the beginning and had a high growth rate. I understand. Furthermore, the starting point and the growth rate of your skill are not bad. More importantly, you are very similar to me when I was young. Elder Tang spoke casually, but his heart was in turmoil. Putting aside whether Mo Shu had a second skill, just this skill alone was enough to make Elder Tang want to take him in as a disciple. His level 1 skill increased all of his attributes by 100%. This was already very scary. When his skill increased to level 2, it actually increased all of his attributes by 300%. One had to know that Wang Lei's skill, Inferno Armor, could only increase his attack power by 500% and increase his defense by 300% at level 4. Mo Shu's level 2 skill was almost comparable to Wang Lei's level 4 skill. What kind of concept was that? It could no longer be described as a genius. He was practically a monster. Mo Shu said, in that case, what benefits do I get if you accept me as your disciple? Elder Tang widened his eyes and said, rascal, I'm taking you in as my disciple, and you're asking me for benefits? Mo Shu spread his hands and said, you were the one who looked for me and wanted to take me as your disciple. I'm not the one who wanted to take you as my master. Even if you want to take me as your master, there should still be a welcome gift. Elder Tang was furious. He threw a box on the ground and left. Brat, I've already prepared the gift. I'll contact you later. Actually, Mo Shu wasn't asking for a gift. He was testing Elder Tang to see how true his words were. From Elder Tang's reaction, it seemed like he really meant no harm. Mo Shu picked up the box and opened it to find a black dagger inside. He took it out and played with it for a moment. He discovered that apart from being unusually sharp, there was nothing special about it. This time, Mo Shu didn't understand. Although he didn't know Elder Tang's true identity, he was still a big shot. His skills were suitable for heavy weapons or long weapons like swords and sabers. It was impossible for Elder Tang to not notice this. Why did he give him a dagger? Mo Shu could not understand what was going on. He kept the dagger and returned to the courtyard. Mu Qingyi, Lu Ziyang, and Yu Yuan were at the door. Lu Ziyang saw Mo Shu and immediately said, Aiya, Mo Shu, where did you go? We were looking for you. Mo Shu was puzzled. Why were you looking for me? It's not class time yet. Mu Qingyi laughed lightly and said, we're looking for you to have lunch together. Let's have a farewell meal. They went to the canteen and sat down. Mo Shu said, since we're about to split up, let's find a way to contact each other. Also, where are you guys going to university? The few of them were not weak. They could probably choose from a wide range of schools. Lu Ziyang said, I'm going to Yanjing University. Boss Mo Shu, aren't you going there too? Take care of me when the time comes. Mo Shu smiled. Do you need me to take care of you? Yu Yuan said, I should be staying in Shun City. Although Shun City's university might be a little lacking, my family is here. I have to stay. They nodded and looked at Mu Qingyi. I might go to Beijing or the northern part of the Alliance. The northern part of the Alliance was too far away from Shun City and Beijing. Only then did Mo Shu understand why Mu Qingyi had said she would go to a far place. In Shun City First High School, in the classroom of Year 3 Class 1. Zheng Yi sat in his seat with a frown. If Mo Shu was here right now, he would definitely be shocked. After all, Zheng Yi had never been in such a state before. The past few days had been tough for Zheng Yi. Although his right hand had been treated with medicine, he still felt a slight pain. The duel between Lu Qingyu and Wang Shenhu was very exciting, but Lu Qingyu still lost in the end. Wang Shenhu had also suffered a little in that battle. These days, he had vented almost all his resentment on Zheng Yi. He continuously provoked and challenged Zheng Yi. Zheng Yi calmed down a little after getting injured. He did not want to affect his college entrance examination results because of a moment of pique. Even though he had been called trash and a coward, he had endured it until now. Zheng Yi leaned back in his chair and sighed. "Ah, Mo Shu, do you know how tough it has been for me while you were away?" Although he said this, Zheng Yi was stubborn deep down. He didn't want Mo Shu to know about his current situation. He didn't want Mo Shu to destroy his original plan for him. Yi Qiner also suffered. After all, not many people believed Yi Qiner's words. The source of her news, Zheng Yi, had been bullied by Wang Shenhu. Thus, the students were also mocking Yi Qiner. At the courtyard of the cosmic tuition class, in the classroom, Wang Yu wrote a word on the blackboard. The word was, shadow. Do you know who the shadows are? The shadows make up a department of the alliance that eliminates internal strife. They specialize in punishing people who use their skills to cause harm to society. You might ask, isn't that the mission of the law enforcement team? Then let me ask you, if anyone in the law enforcement team breaks the law, who will punish them? Only then did Mo Shu realize that the shadows had such a responsibility. He had always thought that shadows was the most free department. The shadows belong to the alliance but are relatively free. Unless the alliance is in danger, the members can choose not to carry out any missions. I'll tell you what to take note of next. 1. The shadow's only external symbol is this medal. Your name and number are engraved on the back of the medal. I suggest you carry it with you. Wang Yu held a shiny black medal in his hand. Secondly, the shadow's name might be misleading, but I have to tell you that shadows are not a secret organization. You can reveal your identity and fight for your rights. Thirdly, there is a hierarchical system among the shadows. The shadows are ranked from level 1 to level 10. When carrying out the same mission, the low-leveled shadows will have to listen to the commands of the high-level shadows. Fourthly, you will download a software. You can accept missions using the software. You will receive cash and points as rewards after completing missions. You can increase your level by accumulating points. That's all. You can take your time to understand the rest. The metal production will take some time. Meanwhile, you can download the software to your phones. When the metal production is complete, someone will contact you. I almost forgot the most important thing. The management of shadows is relatively free, but there is a bottom line. If someone causes harm to society or uses their identity as a shadow to commit crimes, someone will punish them. The four of them downloaded the software. The software was strange. There was no option of creating an account. There was only a line of words and an input bar. Please fill in your personal information. Mo Shu entered his personal information as requested and accessed the software. The software was simple. There were only two large panels, one for the mission and one for his profile. Mo Shu opened his profile and read what was written on it. Name: Mo Shu. Level: 1. Current points: 0. Remaining cash: 0. After looking through the software, Mo Shu realized that there was actually nothing. The purpose of this software was to accept missions. In the evening, the four of them packed their luggage and prepared to leave. When they walked out of the courtyard, everyone had a car to pick them up. Gao Quan was waiting for Mo Shu. Then, the four of them parted after a simple farewell. Mu Qingyi smiled and said to Mo Shu, "See you at the college entrance examination." After Mo Shu got into the car, Gao Quan asked, "How is it? Is it done?" Mo Shu nodded and said, "Yes, I passed the test, didn't you know?" "How would I know? I'm not a member of the shadows." Along the way, Mo Shu asked Gao Quan many times if anything had happened at school. Gao Quan did not respond. The more this was the case, the more uneasy Mo Shu felt. What could have happened at school? Tomorrow was a school holiday, and the day after tomorrow was the day of the college entrance examination. Even if something were to happen, he would not know, so he could only ask Zheng Yi. The journey home was always long. After some time, Mo Shu reached home. The moment he entered, he saw his mother busying herself at the table. Mo Shu had sent a message in advance, so Li Yuan had prepared a table full of dishes. However, Mo Shu didn't come back after a long time, so the dishes were reheated over and over again. The moment Mo Shu opened the door, Li Yuan took Mo Shu's luggage and welcomed him in. "Xiao Shu, how did you do outside?" Mo Shu grabbed the luggage and said, "Pretty good. I've learned a lot." That's good, Mo Shu sighed. His mother had always been like this. She didn't ask too many questions and silently gave her all. After dinner, Mo Shu returned to his room to lie down and sent a message to Zheng Yi. "I'm back. Shall we meet tomorrow?" After a long while, Zheng Yi replied. "I'm going to train in seclusion to prepare for the college entrance examination." Mo Shu did not reply. If there was anything, they would talk when they meet. Actually, this message was sent after careful consideration by Zheng Yi, even though it was unlikely that the word deliberate would apply to Zheng Yi. Zheng Yi did not want to affect Mo Shu's college entrance examination, so he said that. The next day, Mo Shu did not undergo any training and spent the entire day trying to relax. He helped his mother with the chores and went out to buy groceries. When he came back, he clumsily cooked a meal. After dinner, her mother commented on Mo Shu's food. "This child is worth teaching." Mo Shu didn't know if what he did was good or bad. After dinner, Mo Shu lay on the bed and browsed through the shadow software. Grade D Investigation Mission. Investigate the mysterious factory. Reward: 100 points and 50,000 yuan. Grade C Annihilation Mission. Annihilate the group of black foxes. Reward: 1,500 points and 800,000 yuan. Grade B Capture Mission. Capture a fugitive. Reward: 5,000 points and 3 million yuan. Grade SSS Bounty Mission. Obtain the Black Dragon Eye. Reward: 10 million points and 10 billion yuan. Previously, he didn't take a closer look at the missions. However, when he took a closer look, there were minor missions that involved finding items, and major missions that involved killing beast emperors. There were all kinds of missions. The rewards were also very generous. Mo Shu decided to take on some missions after the college entrance examination. On one hand, it was to supplement the family's income so that his mother would not have to work overtime every day for a meager salary. On the other hand, he needed to save up some money to buy herbs. Mo Shu had heard that university was different from high school. It was useless to just work hard. Only with sufficient resources could one successfully grow. Mo Shu had no connections or money to enter the university. He could only use his identity as a shadow to obtain resources. Although he had a cheap master, he didn't even know where his master was now. He didn't even have a way to contact him, so he had to rely on himself for everything. When Mo Shu thought about his cheap master Edler Tang, Mo Shu took out the black dagger. At first, he played with it in his hand, but later, he started to punch with the dagger. He found it quite convenient to use it. That old man is really stingy. He said he would give me a gift, but in the end, he gave me a weapon that doesn't suit me. Bang! Mo Shu stared at the shattered glass and the black dagger outside the window, speechless. The dagger had extended. Early in the morning, it was the day of the college entrance examination. Mo Shu woke up early to pack up. He had originally wanted to sleep yesterday, but he later discovered that the black dagger could actually be extended. In the end, he studied it until very late before sleeping. After Mo Shu's research, he discovered that the black dagger was extremely magical. As long as he held the handle tightly, it would extend. The greater the force, the longer the dagger would be. Yesterday, it was precisely because he was careless that he exerted force on the handle and allowed the dagger to pierce through the glass. Mo Shu packed up his things and left. He wanted to ask Zheng Yi to leave with him, but he did not reply to his messages. Furthermore, he did not see Zheng Yi at school. However, he saw Mu Qingyi at the school gate. She was currently surrounded by a group of people. She seemed to be in a difficult position as she looked around. When she saw Mo Shu, it was as if she had seen her savior. She squeezed through the crowd and ran towards Mo Shu. Everyone was stunned when they saw that it was Mo Shu. Wasn't Mo Shu crippled? how could he still take the college entrance examination? The group of people who were originally enthusiastic towards Mu Qingyi all moved far away. Firstly, they had heard that Mo Shu had offended an important figure and didn't want to have anything to do with Mo Shu to avoid implicating himself. Furthermore, Wang Shenhu could be said to be at the peak of his career at school. During this period of time, everyone related to Mo Shu had been dealt with by Wang Shenhu. Thus, no one dared to talk to Mo Shu. Mo Shu saw that everyone was looking at him strangely and asked Mu Qingyi softly, "Qingyi, what is going on?" The relationship between the two of them had advanced by leaps and bounds in the cosmic tuition class. Although they did not have any romantic feelings towards each other, they had already reached the stage where they knew each other well. Therefore, Mu Qingyi did not find it strange for Mo Shu to ask her that. "I don't know either. I was surrounded by these people the moment I arrived at school. They kept asking me where I had been during this period of time, and why I came back for the college entrance examination." Then, Mo Shu thought of the rumors about him that Zheng Yi had told him about. Perhaps these people believed those rumors and didn't dare to interact with him. The two of them went separate ways after entering the school building. Mo Shu was in the 3rd examination hall while Mu Qingyi was in the 7th examination hall. The college entrance examination only lasted for a day, and was split into the morning and afternoon session. The written examination and the physical examination were in the morning, while the skill examination was in the afternoon. An hour or so after the exam, the results would be out. After that, the major schools would pick people based on their scores and high school records. About 3 days later, the students would be informed that they had been accepted by the schools. They would then select the schools that they wanted to go to. Firstly, the written examination tested the theoretical knowledge in the textbooks. It was the simplest of the subjects, and with a little effort, one would not score too badly. The perfect score was 200 points. In normal mock exams, there were countless people who could score full marks. Mo Shu also finished this examination relatively easily. The first few multiple-choice questions and cloze questions were all basic questions. The only difficult question was the last short-answer question. After being taught by Wang Yu in the cosmic tuition class, Mo Shu had no problems answering. Now, Mo Shu's understanding of skills was much higher than most people. He finished answering the questions in less than an hour. The rest of the time was spent checking and handing in the papers. After leaving the examination hall, Mo Shu took out his phone and sent a message to Zheng Yi. "Where did you go? Why didn't I see you? Reply me once you see this message." After waiting for a long time, it was almost time for the next exam. However, Zheng Yi did not reply. Mo Shu could only go to the training grounds for the physical examination. The physical examination was divided into 3 categories: the strength test, the speed test, and an actual combat test. Skills could not be used. The total score was 400 points. The strength test and speed test were out of 150 points each. Meanwhile, the actual combat test had a total score of 100. This was because high school students didn't have much actual combat experience. Furthermore, they could slowly improve after entering university. Thus, the physical examination mainly tested their foundation. At this moment, the training grounds were divided into 50 rooms. During the test, each room would have 3 teachers. One was responsible for recording, one was responsible for supervising, and one was responsible for ensuring fairness. Mo Shu's number was not at the front. Thus, he waited for a long time before entering the room. "Mo Shu, right? Put your hands above your head for inspection." The teacher in charge of fairness took 2 instruments and swept them over Mo Shu. One instrument checked if there were any foreign objects on his body, while the other instrument checked if there were any drugs that enhanced his body within the past 24 hours. Before the college entrance examination, every form teacher would repeatedly emphasize that if the students wanted to use medicinal herbs to strengthen their body, they had to consume it early. Otherwise, they would not be able to pass the physical examination. Even so, every year, many people would retire from the college entrance examination because they could not pass this check. "You have passed the inspection. We can conduct the physical examination." Mo Shu came to the strength testing area first. There was a huge sandbag that was fixed in place. Taking a deep breath, he steadied his step. He gathered all his strength from the ground, consolidated it at his waist, and exerted more force in his upper body. Then, all the strength was consolidated in his arm, and finally his fist. Bang! A loud sound shook the three teachers. How could there be such a loud sound? When they looked at the data, they saw that the power of his punch was 387.12 kilograms. The three teachers were in disbelief. Was he even human? After that, the three teachers unanimously believed that there was a problem with the instrument. They were unable to achieve such results, let alone a high school student. It was really unbelievable. After checking that there were no problems with the instrument, the three teachers asked Mo Shu to do another test. The power of his punch was 388.01 kilograms. It was even higher than last time. The strength test had a perfect score of 235 kilograms. Thus, this result was simply too shocking. To ensure accuracy, the three teachers brought Mo Shu to another room for another test. The power of his punch was 388.75 kilograms. The results were getting higher and higher. No matter how much the three teachers did not believe the results, they had to admit this fact. This student named Mo Shu was a monster. Actually, Mo Shu's fist strength wasn't that exaggerated. The reason why it had increased so much was because Mo Shu had just understood how to maximize the strength of his fist. After that, the speed test was conducted. Mo Shu ran 100 meters in 6.12 seconds. Although it was not as exaggerated as his results in the strength test, it was still much better than the perfect score of 7 seconds. The final combat test was a battle between students. The doors of the two rooms opened, and a student walked into the room where Mo Shu was being tested. Mo Shu didn't know this person, but this person knew Mo Shu. This person's name was Fang Jia. He was ordinary in school and did not have any outstanding qualities. At this moment, he was dejected because he did not perform well in the strength test. When he saw Mo Shu, his spirits were lifted. He had heard that Mo Shu had already been crippled. This was equivalent to picking up a huge bargain. The scores in the actual combat test were not determined by victory or defeat. Instead, the 6 teachers present would determine their scores at the same time. Then, the average score would be taken. However, winning the battle would more or less give the victor some bonus points. Fang Jia walked into the arena and said provocatively, "Come on, I know you. I'll show mercy." The 3 teachers who came with Fang Jia were still all right, but the 3 who had just tested Mo Shu were stunned. How much did he drink? Where did his confidence come from? He knew who Mo Shu was, yet this student still provoked him. One of the teachers had just verified that Mo Shu's strength test results had broken the college entrance examination record. Did this student want to show mercy against such a monster? Even if Mo Shu didn't have any actual combat experience, just the pressure from his strength would be enough to kill Fang Jia. Following Mo Shu's entrance, the teacher announced the start of the battle. Fang Jia advanced quickly and launched a punch. Mo Shu took a step back unhurriedly. Then, he raised his right hand above his head and pressed down on Fang Jia's head, exerting a little force. Dong! Fang Jia fell to the ground with his face on the ground. Mo Shu turned around to look at the teacher, implying that he was wondering why the competition had not ended yet. Several teachers went forward to check the situation. Fang Jia's mouth was agape and his eyes were blank. He had clearly lost consciousness. Mo Shu wins. The physical test has ended. The examinees can leave now. When Mo Shu walked out of the room, the 6 teachers were discussing. After the exam in the morning, he still could not find Zheng Yi during lunch break, so he could only find a restaurant to eat at. It was soon afternoon. The skill assessment in the afternoon could be said to be the most important part of the college entrance examination. The total score was 400. This alone could show its importance. Not only that, many universities would prioritize checking the scores of the skill assessment when they looked at the examination results. Due to the importance of one's score in the skill assessment, there would always be students with high scores who were not accepted by their ideal schools in the past years. This was because both their written test and physical test scores were very high. Only the skill test was a burden. The venue of the skill assessment was in the science and technology classroom. It was specially used for testing skills. It was usually open, but students had to pay a fee to use the room. Furthermore, the price wasn't something Mo Shu could afford, so Mo Shu had never entered the room. Mo Shu took the admission ticket and entered the science and technology classroom. Then, the staff led Mo Shu into one of the rooms. After observing the room, he realized that it was a sealed space with only one door, which was closed after entering. 3 of the walls were made of metal, while the last wall was made of glass. He could vaguely see 2 people sitting behind the glass. Mo Shu was about to take a closer look when he heard a voice. The voice came from the loudspeaker on the roof of the room. "Examinee, please wear the glasses and prepare for the exam." Mo Shu looked around and saw a box in the corner. When he opened the box and took a look, he found that it was more like a helmet than a pair of glasses. Mo Shu took it out and put it on his head. After putting it on, the helmet automatically locked and wrapped around Mo Shu's head. The helmet didn't affect his vision, and Mo Shu could clearly see everything around him. "Examinee, please raise your right hand. You will enter the assessment in 3 seconds." Mo Shu followed the instructions and raised his right hand. Then, he heard the countdown. 3, 2, 1. The assessment begins. After the assessment began, the glass wall gradually disappeared and became an iron wall. After that, 2 men in black appeared in the room. One of them had the word, "friend," written on it, while the other had the word, "enemy," written on it. Mo Shu immediately understood. One of them was his teammate, while the other was his enemy. Without hesitation, he activated Descent of the Martial God to provide him with support. When Mo Shu reached the battleground between the 2 of them, the enemy suddenly injured his teammate with a punch and jumped back. Mo Shu reached out to pull his teammate up, however, when he touched his teammate disappeared. When he raised his head to look at the enemy, his enemy actually disappeared as well. Mo Shu looked around but didn't find any traces of the man in black. Suddenly, the man in black appeared in front of Mo Shu and punched him. Mo Shu immediately responded, but when he hit the man in black, it felt like he was hitting a steel plate. No matter how Mo Shu attacked, he could not defeat the man in black. As time passed, Mo Shu realized that the strength of the man in black was increasing. In the end, the black-clothed man's strength increased to the point where Mo Shu was unable to fight back. He threw a punch at Mo Shu's head. The assessment is over. Following the sound of the computer, the man in black disappeared and the glass wall appeared again. Mo Shu took off his helmet and put it back in the box, waiting for further instructions. Mo Shu roughly understood the mechanism of the skill assessment. In the beginning, when the 2 men in black fought, they wanted to test the candidate's auxiliary skills. If they had an auxiliary skill, they could use it on their teammates. After that, when his teammate was injured and fell to the ground, they were testing the healing skills of the examinees. One could treat their teammate if they had healing skills. After that, the enemy disappeared. This was to test the detection skills of the examinees. The final battle was to test the limits of their combat skills. Mo Shu did not hide his strength during the exam. Instead, he went all out to fight. Hiding a secret was indeed very important. Mo Shu felt that it was enough to hide God's eye. If he had to hide the descent of the martial god, it would be too cowardly. However, Mo Shu was very curious if this detection system could detect God's eye. After 5 minutes, the teacher said, "The assessment is over, please leave." Mo Shu walked out of the science and technology classroom and strolled around the field alone. "Mo Shu, you're here." Mo Shu saw that it was Mu Qingyi and walked over with a smile. Yes. I just finished the exam and I'm waiting for the results. How did you do?" Mu Qingyi said, "Not bad. What about you? There shouldn't be any problems, right?" "I didn't face any problems. Everything is going smoothly. By the way, which school are you going to?" Mu Qingyi said hesitantly, "Actually, I'm going to the Federal Academy." Mo Shu was a little surprised. The 3 major colleges in the alliance were Yanjing University, the Federal Academy, and the Academy of Faith. These 3 schools corresponded to the 3 pre-war powers. Although humans belong to the alliance now, they would not be able to get into the Federal Academy by taking the college entrance examination in Shun City. Firstly, it was because of the distance. Furthermore, the living habits of both regions were somewhat different. Was it arranged by your family? Mu Qingyi had long said that everything was arranged by her parents, and she had no right to make any decisions. Mu Qingyi nodded lightly and said, "Yes, we might not meet again in the future. You can't decide everything for yourself, but I can decide mine. I'll look for you in the future." Really? Really? An hour later, the results were announced. Everyone's results were posted on the field's notice board and sent to their phones. When Mo Shu received the message, he immediately went home. This was because his score was 1000. He had obtained full marks. As far as Mo Shu knew, in all these years of college entrance examinations, less than 10 people had obtained full marks. If he stayed at school, he might be pestered by the reporters, so he could only go home. First place. Mo Shu. Results: 1000 points. Second place, Mu Qingyi. Results: 981 points. Third place, Lu Qingyu. Results: 923 points. Fourth place, Zheng Yi. Results: 901 points. Fifth place, Wang Shenhu. Result: 898 points. After seeing the rankings, Wang Shenhu was the most furious. He originally thought that he would definitely win first place in Shuncheng High School. Putting aside the fact that Lu Qingyu and Zheng Yi were ahead of him, Mo Shu actually scored full marks. Now, Wang Shenhu only had one thought. Mo Shu had cheated. He had to find Mo Shu and make him reveal his true colors. Meanwhile, Yi Qiner, who was in a daze at home, received more than 10 messages in a row. Yi Qiner was a little confused. Ever since she insisted that nothing had happened to Mo Shu, she had been ostracized. Why would so many people suddenly contact her? After reading the messages, Yi Qiner hurriedly put on her clothes and ran to school. This was because those messages were from her classmates. They were apologizing to Yi Qiner. Most of the messages said, "Qiner, I've wrongly accused you. I didn't mean to badmouth Senior Mo. Can you put in a good word for me and introduce me to him?" Some other messages said, "Mo Shu is too fierce. From now on, Mo Shu will be my idol." When Yi Qiner arrived at the field, she almost cried when she saw the ranking. It wasn't because Mo Shu did well, but because it proved that Mo Shu was fine. For so many days, no matter how bad the rumors were, Mo Shu did not respond. Even Zheng Yi had gotten in trouble. Yi Qiner thought that something had really happened to Mo Shu. However, it now seemed that Mo Shu was fine. That was great. The next morning, Mo Shu got up to look for Zheng Yi. The moment he stepped out, a group of reporters surrounded him. "Mo Shu, as the top scholar of the college entrance examination, what do you have to say?" Someone squeezed up from behind and said, "What kind of standards are those? You're a new reporter, right? Mo Shu, you scored full marks this time. Many people are questioning whether you cheated or not. Mo Shu, there are people speculating that you are from a prestigious family. Why are you staying here?" Mo Shu shut the door without a word, not wanting to listen to the chatter from the reporters. Outside the door, people kept saying, "Mo Shu, even if you're the top scholar of the college entrance examination, you can't be so rude. Yeah, you're so arrogant. I'm going to write an article to condemn you." Annoyed, Mo Shu jumped out of his room window. After Mo Shu returned home yesterday, he had a simple celebration with his mother before going to bed. He did not know that news of him getting full marks had spread like wildfire. After a night of fermenting, too many people were alarmed. In just one night, the principals of the various colleges, the higher-ups of the various powers, and this group of reporters had investigated all of Mo Shu's information. A student who scored full marks was actually living in a dilapidated neighborhood. This allowed the reporters to unleash their imaginations and make all sorts of conjectures. Hence, they came early in the morning to stop Mo Shu. After Mo Shu jumped out, he immediately called Zheng Yi, but no one picked up. At the training grounds of Shun City First High School, the training grounds, which should have been empty during the holidays, was now packed with people. This was because there was an important match today. It was the second battle between Zheng Yi and Wang Shenhu. This battle was arranged by Wang Shenhu because Zheng Yi was ranked ahead of him in the college entrance examination. Zheng Yi agreed immediately. Actually, even if Wang Shenhu did not look for him, he would look for Wang Shenhu. Zheng Yi was never one to swallow his pride. Previously, he had no choice but to endure for the sake of the college entrance examination. After the college entrance examination ended, Zheng Yi could no longer tolerate it and wanted to settle scores with Wang Shenhu immediately. Hence, for the past few days, Mo Shu had been looking for Zheng Yi, but Zheng Yi had not replied. He only wanted to tell Mo Shu what had happened after he had settled everything with Wang Shenhu. Wang Shenhu said, "I really didn't expect that a good-for-nothing like you would dare to agree to my challenge after hiding from me for so many days." Zheng Yi pursed his lips and said, "The reason for your challenge this time is probably because you didn't do well in the college entrance examination, right? If you hadn't cheated, I would have been first." Zheng Yi laughed out loud. "How interesting. Are you saying that the 4 people in front of you cheated? You really dared to say that? Who can cheat during the college entrance examination?" Wang Shenhu was a little embarrassed. He had gotten 5th place this time partly because he did not expect Zheng Yi and Lu Qingyu to perform so well, and partly because of Mu Qingyi and Mo Shu's sudden return. In addition, after Wang Shenhu's strength increased greatly, he became a little arrogant, causing him to neglect his training and revision. As a result, a lot of points were deducted from the written test and the physical test. He had thought that victory was within his grasp, and that he would be able to brag about it everywhere he went. Now that he had been slapped in the face, how could he not feel hatred? "You loser, I'm going to beat you up today. As for Mo Shu, after I beat you up, he will be next. Don't think that no one will suspect that he cheated and scored full marks. If I expose him, I will be a hero." Zheng Yi said, peeved, "You aren't even fit to carry Mo Shu's shoes. What hero are you? Don't think I don't know how your skill leveled up." Wang Shenhu said indifferently, "So what if you know? If you have the ability, why don't you upgrade your skill too? Don't talk so much nonsense. I'll definitely cripple you today." Zheng Yi became serious. Regardless, Wang Shenhu's strength was still above Zheng Yi's. The two of them entered the arena and got into a fight. The entire audience held their breaths in silence. "So that's the case." A voice cut through the silence. It was not loud, but everyone could hear the anger in it. The crowd opened up a path and a figure slowly walked over. It was a figure that was very familiar to the two of them, Mo Shu. Zheng Yi first shouted, "Mo Shu, this is my duel with him. It has nothing to do with you." Then, Mo Shu said expressionlessly, "Do you think it's very nice of you to take over everything?" Mo Shu waved his hand and said, "Everything started because of me. I'll settle it. Leave it to me." Zheng Yi wanted to continue, but in the end, he did not. Meanwhile, Wang Shenhu said disdainfully, "Stop acting like your brothers. It doesn't matter who comes. Mo Shu, you came at the right time. Today, I'll let you know what true talent is. A piece of trash like you will have your reputation ruined from today onwards." Mo Shu walked towards Wang Shenhu step by step. He spoke as he walked. His voice was neither loud nor soft, but every word he said was powerful. "Some people don't feel pain as long as they're not beaten to death. Don't you agree, Wang Shenhu?" Wang Shenhu felt that his idea of victory was shaken at this moment. Mo Shu didn't roar loudly. One couldn't even tell what his emotions were, but he gave off a very strong sense of oppression. "Cut the crap and start," Mo Shu said, "Come at me." Then, he activated God's Eye. Skill, Thorns 2. Skill effect. Spikes will be produced all over the body. The spikes can be fired. The strength of the shot depends on the base strength of the user, increases defense by 150%, and increases strength and speed by 100% respectively. Duration: 3 minutes. Cooldown: 15 minutes. Mo Shu had to admit that Zheng Yi's loss to Wang Shenhu made sense. After all, Wang Shenhu's skill was relatively strong. Wang Shenhu attacked Mo Shu. Then, Mo Shu made a surprising move. He did not fight or use his skills. Instead, he took off his shirt. His strong muscles were exposed, causing many girls to scream. Meanwhile, Wang Shenhu said angrily, "You're still acting a pretentious prick." With a flash of golden light, Mo Shu activated Descent of the Martial God. "Today, I'll show you the difference between us." Wang Shenhu threw a punch at Mo Shu. There were spikes on his fist, but Mo Shu unexpectedly did not dodge. Instead, a fist met Wang Shenhu's fist head-on. Wang Shenhu was forced back 2 steps. Meanwhile, Mo Shu only had a small wound on his fist. How could your skill be so strong? Weren't you crippled?" After the first move, Wang Shenhu knew that he was no match for Mo Shu. Wang Shenhu still remembered Mo Shu's superb Baguazhang in the previous competition. Wang Shenhu knew that his chances of winning were slim when his skill did not provide him with an advantage. Mo Shu did not speak and walked straight to Wang Shenhu. Even if your skill is strong, my defense is not something you can defeat. At the worst, I'll defeat you, ah. Before he could finish speaking, Mo Shu punched Wang Shenhu's face again. Wang Shenhu staggered and almost fell to the ground. Damn you. Bang. I. Bang. Mo Shu. I. Bang. 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 Mo Shu did not use any moves and just punched Wang Shenhu. Every punch was firm and without reservation. Along the way, Wang Shenhu tried to retaliate, but it eventually was futile under Mo Shu's relentless punches. Meanwhile, Mo Shu's punches were faster and faster. He struck Wang Shenhu with pure strength, as if he was venting his emotions. Meanwhile, Wang Shenhu was standing at the beginning. Then, he sat down. Before he lay down, he achieved all three forms of being beaten up. Only then did the crowd understand why Mo Shu had taken off his clothes. This was because Mo Shu was afraid of dirtying his clothes. Mo Shu. Bang. 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 I. Bang. 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 Admit. Admit. Bang. 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 Wang Shenhu wanted to admit defeat. However, at this moment, Mo Shu's eyes were red from fighting. He did not give Wang Shenhu a chance to speak. This battle could no longer be called a battle. Instead, it was a one-sided beating. In the end, Mo Shu's fist stopped because Wang Shenhu had lost consciousness. Then, Mo Shu stepped on Wang Shenhu's hand. Ah! Wang Shenhu woke up from the pain and looked at Mo Shu in horror. Mo Shu, I was wrong. Stop hitting me. You're not trash, I'm trash, alright? Mo Shu squatted down and whispered into Wang Shenhu's ear. There won't be a next time, got it? Wang Shenhu immediately replied, I know, I know. I won't provoke you again. Ah, Mo Shu. Mo Shu punched him again and shattered Wang Shenhu's right arm. Wang Hu could no longer shout as he simply fainted. Meanwhile, a commotion broke out in the crowd outside the arena. Mo Shu usually appeared rather amiable. Thus, they didn't expect him to be so ruthless. Then, Mo Shu stood up and walked towards Zheng Yi. Have you vented your anger? Zheng Yi looked at Mo Shu silently. Mo Shu turned around and was about to return to Wang Shenhu and deliver a few more punches when Zheng Yi grabbed Mo Shu. Enough, Mo Shu. If you continue, he will die. Mo Shu turned around and asked Zheng Yi the same question. Let me ask you, have you vented your anger? Zheng Yi returned to his normal self and said, barely. I originally wanted to humiliate him, but after I thought about it. Forget it. There's no need to lower myself to the level of a dog. Zheng Yi did not say it out loud, but he was extremely touched. The first time Wang Shenhu attacked Mo Shu calmly taught him a lesson. However, he was clearly enraged this time. From the first sentence he said after arriving here, to every punch he threw at Wang Shenhu, one could clearly see Mo Shu's anger. Zheng Yi knew that Mo Shu was doing all this for him. He was touched, but there was no need to say it out loud. As for Mo Shu, how could he not be moved? After all, Zheng Yi had been bearing too much responsibility these past few days. He didn't even want to tell Mo Shu about this. The two of them looked at each other for a long time before laughing out loud. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. The two of them laughed and left. The crowd was stunned when they saw the commotion. What was going on? Mo Shu had been extremely ferocious a moment ago, but now he was laughing and leaving. Zheng Yi laughed out loud to express his grievances for the past few days. Meanwhile, Mo Shu was laughing from the bottom of his heart. In the 3 years of high school, he had not only obtained strength, but also a trustworthy brother. The two of them ignored the gazes of others and left just like that. Then, they arrived at a small restaurant and started chatting as if they hadn't seen each other for a long time. Mo Shu, where did you go? You're definitely not an exchange student, right? Did you go for special training somewhere? You scored full marks for the entrance examination too. Mo Shu said, I can't tell you where I went. I promised others that I would keep it a secret. It can also be said to be a form of special training, and I improved a lot. As for you, Sai, it's been hard on you. Zheng Yi shook his head and said, let's not talk about it. This is the only time in my life that I've been vexed. I'll treat it as an experience. Oh right, I originally wanted to settle this matter myself. Anyway, how did someone who has such poor news sources like you know that I was there? It was Mu Qingyi who told me everything. When Zheng Yi heard Mo Shu mention Mu Qingyi, his expression became strange. The two of you disappeared together. Have you won her over? How impressive. You've done all the awesome things in the world. Mo Shu said, don't speak nonsense. There is nothing between Qingyi and me. Ha ha ha. You even called her Qingyi. Are you sure that there's nothing? Do you think that I am a fool? Aiya, Mo Shu decided not to explain. Then, Zheng Yi suddenly became serious. When it comes to women, I have to mention someone. Who is it? It's Yi Qiner. When she heard the rumors about you, she came to look for me. I told her that you were fine. After that, she went back and stopped the rumors. At that time, she also suffered a lot of disdain from others. Mo Shu turned around and said, got it. I'll thank her when I have the chance. Zheng Yi added, there's also Lu Qingyu. If not for him, I might have lost half my life. One day, I'll treat him to a meal. You have to come. While the two were eating and chatting, the news of Mo Shu beating up Wang Shenhu spread. News regarding Mo Shu appeared on various websites. Some said that this incident proved that Mo Shu's college entrance examination results were real. Meanwhile, others said that not only was Mo Shu arrogant and rude, but even beat up his classmate. However, no matter what news it was, in less than half a day, all the news regarding Mo Shu were taken down. No one knew the reason. Even the higher-ups of the various websites did not talk about it. In the Shun City Shadow headquarters, two people were discussing intensely in the office. Wang Yu, it's not good to block news regarding Mo Shu on such a large scale. He has endured hardships for so many years and finally made a name for himself. Can't he show off? Wang Yu adjusted his glasses and said, brother, did you forget what Elder Tang told you? Wang Lei thought for a moment and said, he told us to remember to keep Mo Shu's secret. That's right. We don't have to care if Mo Shu leaves Shun City, but he's in Shun City now. If anything happens, we won't be able to bear the consequences. But, no buts. You were the one who nurtured Mo Shu. Don't you know his personality? Would he care about such a trivial reputation? Wang Lei sighed and said, that's true. I just feel that this child has a tough life and should enjoy everything that he has worked hard for. Wang Yu said angrily, otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to achieve great things. Your vision is too narrow. Hey, don't beat me up. At night, Mo Shu scrolled through the shadow software in his room. He wanted to see if there were any suitable missions to take on. After all, Mo Shu didn't want to waste this holiday. There were only 15 days of vacation after the college entrance examination. Thus, Mo Shu wanted to use this time to accumulate more wealth. Pa! The glass window that had just been replaced was shattered. Mo Shu immediately got down to check who had provoked this window. However, when he saw what was thrown in from outside, Mo Shu no longer had any intention of feeling sorry for the window. It was a shiny black metal. Wasn't this the shadow metal? Mo Shu picked it up. Then, he saw that there was indeed a name and number engraved on the back. Mo Shu, 13,267. Now that he had a medal, it would be easier for him to accept missions. Wang Yu said that the medal was the only symbol of the shadows. With the medal, it would be easier to carry out missions. Mo Shu looked for a plank to block the window. As he did so, he mumbled, must the shadows use this kind of entrance? Why can't they just use the main entrance? Do they have to knock on the window? Mo Shu lay back on the bed and continued reading through the missions. After searching for a long time, he finally found a suitable mission. The location was in Shun City, the difficulty was suitable, and the rewards were generous. Investigation Mission. Underground Arena. Difficulty level, C. Mission details. Recently, an underground arena appeared in Shun City. They have been using illegal means to organize gambling and gain benefits. The mission objective is to find out who the mastermind is. Reward: 2,000 points and 800,000 yuan. Mo Shu sent a message. Shall we take on a mission? Lu Ziyang said, no problem, boss. Yu Yuan replied, okay. After a long time, Mu Qingyi replied, okay. In a small park in Shun City, the four of them sat side by side on a bench. Mo Shu said, "This is a mission that I'm preparing to accept. What do you guys think? If it's possible, we can take on this mission together. I think that multiple people can complete it." Mu Qingyi and Lu Ziyang both expressed that they had no problem with the mission after reading it. However, Yu Yuan frowned and said, "My family has some influence in Shun City, so I've heard of this arena. The law enforcement team has gone through many encirclements and suppression, but the success rate is very low. Even if they succeed, they will continue holding gambling sessions the next day." Mo Shu said, "Yu Yuan, just say what you want to say." Yu Yuan looked at Mo Shu and said, "The organizer is definitely not simple. He might have some foundation in Shun City and even planted spies in the law enforcement team." Mu Qingyi interrupted, "Is it very troublesome?" Yu Yuan said, "It's a little troublesome. If I'm not wrong, the difficulty of this mission should not be just rank C. The person behind the arena must be extremely careful." Mo Shu smiled and said, "I've thought of that too, but I've seen almost all the missions in Shun City and this is the most suitable one. This mission is indeed quite difficult, but what if we fight our way into the arena?" Yu Yuan said, "Tell me more." Mo Shu pointed at himself and said, "Do you guys think I look like I engage in illegal boxing?" Lu Ziyang widened his eyes and said, "Boss, stop fooling around. You're the top scholar of the college entrance examination. Although there's no news of you now, who can't find out about this?" Meanwhile, Yu Yuan's eyes lit up as he said, "Interesting. You're the top scorer in the college entrance examination, but you're from a poor family. You didn't expose yourself for no reason after the college entrance examination and couldn't benefit from the news. Thus, the possibility of you being suspected is very small. This plan is very interesting." Mo Shu smiled and said, "That's right." Mu Qingyi objected, "I don't agree. This is too dangerous." Lu Ziyang and Yu Yuan looked at Mu Qingyi strangely. Was she feeling sorry for Mo Shu? How many experts engaged in illegal boxing? After all, experts had their ways of making money. With Mo Shu's strength, he would definitely have no problems fitting in. Mu Qingyi said angrily, "You've misunderstood what I said. I'm saying that Mo Shu won't be suspected, but we will be. When the time comes, only Mo Shu will be able to infiltrate the arena, while the three of us can only provide support. If we're discovered to be spies, it'll be too dangerous." Only after Mu Qingyi said this did they react. That was right, it was indeed very dangerous for Mo Shu to enter the enemy's territory alone. Mo Shu said, "We can give it a try. I will give you guys an order based on the information I have." The three of them thought about how calm and mature Mo Shu was. They felt that if they accepted this mission, this was the only way to succeed. Mo Shu looked at them and said seriously, "How is it? Is it decided?" "Okay." Lu Ziyang and Yu Yuan agreed immediately. Mu Qingyi also agreed unwillingly. Mo Shu said to Yu Yuan, "Yu Yuan, your family is a local tyrant. Can you help me find a contact?" "A contact? Yes, we just need to get in touch with the middle and lower levels of the arena. We have to make sure that they don't get suspicious." Yu Yuan pondered for a moment before saying, "No problem, I'll get it done right away." Yu Yuan was an impatient person. After receiving the order, he immediately went to do it. Meanwhile, Lu Ziyang pointed at himself and said, "Boss, what can I do?" Mo Shu thought about it and said, "You can contact the law enforcement team." Lu Ziyang asked, "The law enforcement team? What exactly should I do?" Mo Shu said, "Go to the law enforcement team and find 2 to 3 people who are relatively reliable. Tell them that they are currently on a mission and need their cooperation. Don't tell them what exactly we are doing and maintain communication with them. Once I have any news, inform them immediately." Lu Ziyang thought for a while and gave him a thumbs up. "Boss, you're really something." Initially, Lu Ziyang wanted to chat for a while more, but when he saw Mo Shu and Mu Qingyi exchanging glances, he instantly understood. "Boss, I'll do it now. I'll let you know when I'm ready." Before he left, he gave Mo Shu a knowing look. Then, only Mu Qingyi and Mo Shu were left. Mu Qingyi smiled at Mo Shu. "What about my mission?" Mo Shu said, "I thought you wouldn't come this time. Why did your family agree to let you do your own thing?" Mu Qingyi glanced at the direction Yu Yuan and Lu Ziyang had left in. "It's because of the 2 of them. My father said that the 2 of them were worth befriending. That's why he let me go out." "Oh, then can I ask you out in their name? Huh?" Mu Qingyi did not expect Mo Shu to suddenly speak so explicitly and was slightly flustered. Stop fooling around. Let's be serious. Did you not assign me a mission because you thought that I wouldn't come? Haha, on the contrary, your mission is the most important. Mu Qingyi asked doubtfully, what's my mission? Help me, and protect me. That afternoon, Mo Shu came to a bar. As it was still early, there were not many people in the bar. Mo Shu ordered a lot of wine and drank alone. Young man, why are you drinking so much in broad daylight? Mo Shu looked up. It was a man in his 30s. He walked to his table and sat down. Who are you? I don't need you to care. The man didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled and said, I'm the boss of this shop. Everyone calls me Hey Z. If there's anything you don't like, just tell me. It'll be better if you tell me. Mo Shu said shakily, let me tell you, I'm the top scholar of this year's college entrance examination. However, I offended someone and the news was blocked. I should be earning money every day, but there's nothing now. How FC King unlucky. When Hazy heard Mo Shu's words, he immediately perked up and whispered, are you really the top scorer of the college entrance examination? Mo Shu rolled his eyes and said, go away, go away. If you don't believe me, why are you still talking to me? Hazy immediately pulled Mo Shu and said, hey, brother, I don't mean anything else. I just feel that the top scholar is too amazing. I have a job that can allow you to earn money. Are you willing to do it? Mo Shu said casually, what job is it? I won't do it if you don't offer me enough money. Hey, be quiet. It will definitely provide a lot of money, so much that you can't imagine the amount. Mo Shu asked suspiciously, what job is it? How much can I earn? I'll be leaving Shun City after school starts. Hazy looked around and whispered, it's illegal boxing. With just one holiday, you can probably earn millions. Mo Shu's eyes lit up, but he didn't say anything. Hazy continued, don't worry, we're very good at keeping it a secret. It won't be known by your university. You can consider it first. If you want to do it, come here tonight at 9:30 p.m. Mo Shu stood up and said, all right, give me the bill. Hazy hurriedly refused and said, hey, little brother, you're treating me like an outsider. I'll treat you today, and you can come again next time. Mo Shu staggered out of the bar and hailed a cab. The moment he entered the cab, he took out his phone and sent Yu Yuan a message. Everything went smoothly. In reality, Hazy was Yu Yuan's contact. Yu Yuan had spoken to him beforehand. Everything that happened just now was a show that the two of them put on together, just in case. After all, the boss behind the arena had eyes everywhere. Thus, they could not leave anything suspicious behind. At this moment, Lu Ziyang also sent a message. Boss, the matter has been settled. We will follow the arrangements. Meanwhile, Mo Shu had arranged for Lu Ziyang to contact the law enforcement team so that he would have a shield. Regardless of whether he was captured or failed the mission, he could ensure his safety. Now that everything was arranged, they were just waiting for the big fish to take the bait. Mo Shu instructed a few people not to contact him and to wait for his news. The secret code was Ant. At 9 in the evening, Mo Shu came to the bar on time to find Hazy. Hazy welcomed Mo Shu warmly when he saw Mo Shu. Dude, I knew you'd be here. I asked around. Your name is Mo Shu, right? Mo Shu said, that's right. Where is the place you mentioned? Bring me there. The two of them didn't say much. Hazy drove Mo Shu to the city center and finally stopped in front of a high-end hotel. Mo Shu didn't expect that they would choose this place as the location of the arena. It was no wonder that the law enforcement team always returned empty-handed. Hazy brought Mo Shu to the rooftop. The rooftop was very big, and loud noises could be heard when they came up. There were cheers, music, and screams mixed together. Mo Shu followed Hazy to a room at the edge of the rooftop. Mo Shu said, Hazy, didn't you say you would bring me to a boxing match? Yes, but the selection of contestants here is very strict. You need to meet the people who are managing the situation. Mo Shu said disdainfully, why'd I have to go for an interview? I'm leaving then. Hazy pulled Mo Shu and said, brother, we're already here. Let's go in and take a look. When they entered the room, there was only one office table. There was a person sitting and another person standing there. Hazy went up and said respectfully, Boss Fang, I brought you a contestant. Can you take a look? Boss Fang glanced at Mo Shu and said, "Hey Z, are you kidding me? This is a student, right?" "Hey, Boss Fang, he's indeed a student, but he's not a simple student. He's the top scorer of this year's college entrance examination." Boss Fang sized up Mo Shu again. The top scorer of the college entrance examination was indeed a gimmick. "You may leave. I'll have a private chat with this young man." Hey Z walked out of the room, leaving Mo Shu standing alone. Mo Shu asked, "Why, aren't you going to invite me to sit down?" Boss Fang smiled apologetically and said, "Haha, little brother, I'm sorry for neglecting you. Please take a seat." Then, he gave a signal to his subordinate, who nodded and left. Boss Fang said, "What's your name? Are you really the top scholar of the college entrance examination?" Mo Shu turned his head and didn't look at Boss Fang. Instead, he placed one foot on the chair. "Yes." Then why do you want to engage in illegal boxing?" Mo Shu glanced at Boss Fang and said, "Rubbish, I want to earn money." Boss Fang asked again, "You're the top scholar of the college entrance examination. Why can't you earn money? Why are you here?" Mo Shu said impatiently, "Why are you so wishy-washy? I offended someone and can't appear on the news. Without fame, I can't earn money. Also, I like to beat people up. I like to beat people until they can't fight back." Boss Fang looked at Mo Shu as if he was an arrogant brat. After a while, Boss Fang's subordinate returned with a stack of documents. Mo Shu knew without looking that the documents contained his information. Boss Fang flipped through the documents seriously and nodded from time to time. Then, Mo Shu said, "Boss Fang, are you going to tell me if I've been hired or not? Can I go to the arena and practice boxing now?" Boss Fang sized up Mo Shu once again and said, "All right, Mo Shu, you can come here to practice. Come here tomorrow at 9 p.m. I'll arrange a good opponent for you." Mo Shu stood up and walked out. As he walked, he said, "How boring, I thought I could go to the arena today. See you tomorrow." After Mo Shu walked out of the room, one of Boss Fang's subordinates asked, "Boss, I don't quite understand. The information clearly says that Mo Shu is very hardworking and calm, but his performance just now was very suspicious." Boss Fang picked up the documents again and said, "If his performance was normal, I wouldn't have allowed him to practice boxing. This is what I like more." "Why? Sometimes, a small matter is enough to drive people crazy, such as when the hard work that they have put in for a long time was not rewarded, or when they think that they are finally going to make a name for themselves but were hit in the head. Mo Shu is such a person." His subordinate frowned in confusion. Boss Fang laughed and said, "You're good at everything, but you're not good at reading people. The information says that Mo Shu has been working hard since he was young, and his results have always been outstanding. It means that he has always been working hard for the college entrance examination, but he hasn't received any returns after the examination. If you had worked hard for 18 years and suddenly relaxed after achieving your goal, but didn't get anything in return, what would you do?" From the way he beat up his classmates after the college entrance examination, you can tell that he has a suppressive and violent tendency in his heart. Such a person who has lost his mind is the easiest to control. The subordinate was enlightened. He raised his thumb and said, "Boss, that's great. That's really great." Mo Shu didn't go home after leaving the hotel. Instead, he found a nearby bar and played for the entire night. This was because Mo Shu knew that the arena would definitely investigate him in secret at this time. Thus, he couldn't give himself away. It was impossible for Boss Fang to be the mastermind. He might not even be able to see the actual boss, so he couldn't rush things. The next morning, Mo Shu brought a woman with heavy makeup out of the bar and entered a hotel. In reality, Mo Shu pretended to sleep the moment they entered the room and only came out at night. Boss Fang sat in his office and asked his subordinate, "What has Mo Shu been doing all day today?" His subordinate replied, "He had a drink at the bar last night and brought a girl back to a hotel in the morning. This has lasted until now." "Boss, you are too godly. Mo Shu is already dispirited." Boss Fang said proudly, "You should learn from this. I'll arrange for Mo Shu to fight with Bulldozer tonight." His subordinate said in surprise, "Boss, Bulldozer has already achieved 10 consecutive victories. Shouldn't Mo Shu start fighting other newcomers first?" "That's the plan. Just wait for the show to start." At 11 p.m., Mo Shu sat backstage, preparing for his first illegal boxing match. Mo Shu had watched a few matches from backstage. The scene was very cruel. As long as one went on stage, there were no rules and any dirty tricks could be used. Even if one party lost consciousness, the other party would not stop. The crueler the scene, the more excited the audience would be. This went against Mo Shu's beliefs. Why was there such a place? However, after thinking about it, it made sense. The martial artists here were generally very weak. When he compared them to the competitors outside, they were like heaven and earth. They could only use cruel competition methods to attract the audience and attract a lot of attention. Then, they could start gambling and manipulate the outcome to gain benefits. Boss Fang patted Mo Shu and said, "Brother, don't take a nap. Come, it's time for you to go into the arena." Mo Shu followed behind Boss Fang and was about to go into the arena. The MC's passionate voice filled the entire competition venue. "Everyone, the finale match is coming up. Everyone should have been looking forward to it for a long time. The first to enter is the person who has achieved 10 consecutive victories, the person who has knocked out his opponents 10 times, Bulldozer." A burly man who was about 2 meters tall entered the arena. His mountain-like figure matched his nickname perfectly. The audience erupted into cheers. Next up is our super rookie, the college entrance examination champion, Mo Shu. When the audience heard this, they started discussing. Was the top scholar of the college entrance examination here to engage in illegal boxing? When they saw Mo Shu appear, Mo Shu was booed. The bulldozer could kill this skinny guy with one punch. Faced with the boos from the audience, Mo Shu gave an evil smile and raised his hands above his head as he gave the audience a thumbs up in disdain. The crowd boiled over at this gesture. "FCK, this kid is not big, but he has guts. I bet everything on Bulldozer." Mo Shu's actions mocked the entire audience. The sound of cursing filled the air. However, Boss Fang was secretly laughing. This Mo Shu was truly a talent. He had easily stirred up the entire atmosphere. The MC spoke again. "This super rookie is really arrogant. Let me see his true strength. Both sides, get into the arena." Mo Shu and Bulldozer both came to the stage. Bulldozer beat his chest muscles with his fists to show his strength. Mo Shu said disdainfully, "You're like a gorilla. Do you think you're very handsome?" When Bulldozer heard Mo Shu's words, he simply rushed over. The MC immediately stopped him. Wait a minute. The competition hasn't started yet. Bulldozer is still as brave as ever." The process of the competition was for both parties to enter the arena first to adjust their emotions. After that, they would look at each other to increase the number of highlights in the match before the competition began. The MC did not want Bulldozer to break the rules, but this was good too. After all, the audience's mood was unprecedentedly high as a result. "Go down, trash. You don't even know how you're going to die later, and you're still spouting nonsense." In the past, I've seen quite a number of academic fighters, but most of them were never seen again after one match. "Ah, I like this kid. He's arrogant enough. If you have the strength, then you're arrogant. If you don't, then you're courting death." As the audience was too loud, the MC could only raise his voice and shout, "The next two contestants are looking at each other. The competition is about to begin." Mo Shu and Bulldozer stood together and looked at each other. Bulldozer glared fiercely at Mo Shu. On the other hand, Mo Shu raised his head and squinted his eyes as he looked lazily at Bulldozer. Bulldozer grew even angrier at such contempt, and his expression gradually turned savage. Actually, Mo Shu wasn't as relaxed as he appeared to be. He secretly read Bulldozer's skill. First skill. Rock. Skill effect. Increases weight by 30%. Duration. 3 minutes. Cooldown. 3 hours. Second skill. Hardening. Skill effect. Hardens the user's skill and increases the user's defense by 20%. Duration. 2 minutes. Cooldown. 3 hours. Third skill. Collision. Skill effect. When the user grabs the target and falls backwards, the user's attack power will be increased by 20% in the process. Cooldown. 30 minutes. Fourth skill. Iron Fist. Skill effect. The attack power of each punch is 150% of the user's basic attributes. Cooldown. 30 minutes. Bulldozer was obviously over 21 years old, so he had awakened all 4 skills. Overall, they were all combat skills, but the strength of his skills was very average. However, he would still use a sledgehammer to crack a nut in this situation. Mo Shu didn't want to fail miserably. After all, there were no rules here. As a newcomer, he couldn't be careless. The competition begins. Mo Shu instantly activated Descent of the Martial God. Then, he stood on the ground and spread his hands. When Bulldozer saw that Mo Shu was still so arrogant, 2 rays of light flashed from his body. Then, he released his first and second skills. He used his right arm to protect his head as he squatted down slightly and walked forward step by step. This was Bulldozer's usual move. He used his unparalleled weight and defense to push his opponent into a corner. After that, he would continue to squeeze his opponent, knock his opponent down with a few punches, or end the battle with a slam. This fighting style was also the reason for his nickname of Bulldozer. As his fighting style was simple and brutal, there was a large number of die-hard fans in the arena. Just when the audience thought that Mo Shu would be pushed into a corner like Bulldozer's previous opponents, Mo Shu's actions shocked everyone. Mo Shu stretched out his right hand and placed it on Bulldozer's right arm. Then, Bulldozer could no longer move forward. The noisy crowd gradually quieted down as everyone watched this scene in disbelief. The reason for this was because this scene was simply too bizarre. An ordinary high school student had used one hand to block the hill-sized Bulldozer. Meanwhile, Bulldozer looked like he was still struggling and was constantly exerting force. Mo Shu said, "Don't waste your energy. You can't push me. How can you call yourself a bulldozer with such little strength?" Bulldozer was quite powerful. If Mo Shu didn't use any skills, Bulldozer's strength and weight should be enough to push Mo Shu. However, after Mo Shu's attributes were enhanced by his skills, it was different. Mo Shu was already very strong. Furthermore, with the 300% increase in attributes from Descent of the Martial God, he was able to defeat Bulldozer, who was most proud of his strength. At this moment, Bulldozer stopped in his tracks and looked at Mo Shu in disbelief. Then, he took a step back and activated his 4th skill, Iron Fist. Mo Shu raised his arms to protect his head. The 5 punches landed solidly on Mo Shu's arms. The audience felt that Mo Shu was being overconfident. It was one thing to be strong, but it was another to be able to withstand attacks. At this moment, Mo Shu didn't choose to dodge. Instead, he took the hit head-on. Even if he wasn't injured, he would be severely injured by the impact of the punch. However, only the Bulldozer knew how scary Mo Shu was. Mo Shu didn't move at all. Then, Bulldozer lowered his fist and took a few steps back. He now knew that their strengths were not on the same level. His killer move was unable to cause any damage to Mo Shu. Thus, he already had thoughts of giving up. Meanwhile, Mo Shu stood up straight and said, "Are you done? If you're done, it'll be my turn." Bulldozer opened his mouth, but no words came out. Mo Shu's fighting style was very simple. It was the same as when he was fighting Wang Shenhu. It was simple, brutal, and merciless. However, Bulldozer did not have Wang Shenhu's defense. Thus, he fell to the ground after just one punch. Mo Shu didn't stop. He went forward and punched him 2 more times. Then, he looked up at the MC, who didn't have any intention of stopping the competition. Thus, Mo Shu had no choice but to keep fighting. He punched faster, his fists raining down on Bulldozer. The MC originally thought that Mo Shu would show off to the audience. Thus, the MC planned to stop the competition after a few punches. However, looking at Mo Shu's stance, it was obvious that he was going all out. Thus, the MC immediately stopped the competition. Mo Shu wins. "Mo Shu, please stop." When Mo Shu heard the MC's voice, he continued punching twice before stopping. Then, he slowly stood up with an indifferent gaze. At this moment, all the spectators noticed that Mo Shu's hands were blood red. Wasn't this too brutal? In reality, Mo Shu had held back. If he had used his full strength, Bulldozer would have died. Mo Shu didn't interact with the audience and walked straight to the backstage. Boss Fang's attitude changed a lot. He said ingratiatingly, "Mo Shu, you're the best. Keep it up and conquer this place." Mo Shu said nonchalantly, "How much can I get for this match?" Boss Fang took out a few stacks of money and placed them in front of Mo Shu. He said, "You are a newcomer, so you'll get a little less money. This is a total of 30,000 yuan. Mo Shu frowned. He could actually earn so much money from one match. Money came too quickly. It was no wonder so many people were willing to come here to practice. Seeing Mo Shu frown, Boss Fang thought that Mo Shu was unhappy and immediately explained. "Mo Shu, don't be anxious. You performed very well today. In the future, as long as you get more attention, it will be easy to earn money." Mo Shu lowered his head and said, "All right, I'll believe you for now. If the benefits aren't enough, I might not work with you anymore." Mo Shu had already understood that Boss Fang wasn't a high-leveled executive behind the scenes. He was just a manager who recruited fighters. After this match, he became famous. Mo Shu believed that many people would try to poach him. Boss Fang smiled and said, "In that case, let's not treat each other as outsiders. I've arranged a hotel for you. Go back and rest." Mo Shu left, but the underground arena was in an uproar. A heavyweight fighter had appeared out of nowhere. His nickname was Blood Fist. The hotel that Boss Fang had arranged for them to stay at was the hotel where the arena was located. They could just take the elevator down. Mo Shu returned to his room and took a quick shower before lying back on the bed. Then, he sent a message to Mu Qingyi, Yu Yuan, and Lu Ziyang. "Aunt, on the rooftop of Sky Treasure Hotel, don't act rashly." According to the plan, Mo Shu sent them a message. Unless there was a problem, they didn't need to reply. However, Mo Shu received a reply as soon as he sent the message. "Did you have a good time at the hotel today?" The message was sent by Mu Qingyi, so he understood immediately. Mu Qingyi was probably referring to the fact that he had brought a woman to a hotel and did not come out for a day. Mo Shu smiled and shook his head before replying. "I slept for the whole day. Why? Are you jealous?" Mo Shu did not explain himself. He only said that he had slept for the whole day. After a while, Mu Qingyi replied, "Aunt received." What Mo Shu did not expect was that Mu Qingyi was currently looking at her phone and scolding Mo Shu for being a hooligan. Looking at the time, it was already past 11 p.m. Just as Mo Shu was preparing to sleep, the door rang. Mo Shu became alert. Who could it be at this hour? When he opened the door, he saw two scantily clad women. Mo Shu frowned and asked, "Who are you?" One of the older women said, "We were sent by Boss Fang to serve you. Do you want us to go in?" Mo Shu said coldly, "Go back and tell Boss Fang that what I want is money. Don't mess this up." Bam! The door closed. After the door closed, the younger woman asked, "Sis, how are we going to explain ourselves when we get back? What else can we say? We can only tell Boss Fang the truth. He didn't even let us talk much. If we knock on the door again, we might anger him. Let's go." Mo Shu returned to his bed again and carefully thought about what he could do to make use of Boss Fang, as well as what methods he could use to get closer to the higher-ups. After pondering for a moment, Mo Shu smiled and picked up the money Boss Fang had given him. "It seems like I have to make a big deal out of this. Furthermore, I can also earn money. Why not do this?" The next morning, Mo Shuan wanted to go out for a walk but was stopped by Boss Fang's subordinate. "I'm sorry, Mr. Mo. You can't go out." Mo Shu ignored him and walked past him. This person stretched out his hand, wanting to stop Mo Shu. Mo Shu grabbed his hand and pushed him down. A golden light flashed across the subordinate's body. Clearly, he had activated a skill. Mo Shu had already learned the skills of this subordinate and Boss Fang during their first meeting. Boss Fang had an auxiliary skill, while this person mostly had investigative skills and only one skill that increased his attack power. Thus, it was impossible for him to defeat Mo Shu. Mo Shu snorted and said, "HMPH, do you want to try fighting with me? It just so happens that I have nothing better to do." With that said, Mo Shu twisted his neck, looking like he was about to fight. Just then, Boss Fang ran over. "Nonsense, how can you be so rude to Mo Shu? Get lost." His subordinate ran off without another word. Mo Shu was a little disappointed to see him run off. "Boss Fang, what do you mean? When I first arrived, you didn't say that you wanted to restrict my freedom." Boss Fang immediately replied, "Mo Shu, didn't you perform too well yesterday? If you go out now, you'll definitely be targeted. Mo Shu said impatiently, Boss Fang, do you think I'm an idiot? If something is the matter, just say it. Seeing that Mo Shu wasn't easy to fool, Boss Fang invited Mo Shu to his room and started explaining. Mo Shu, I'm actually just a small fry. I'm in charge of selecting the boxers. I've received orders that everyone under me cannot leave the hotel today. I have no choice. Mo Shu said, then get someone above you to talk to me. Boss Fang said many comforting words to Mo Shu and explained many things. Finally, Mo Shu reluctantly returned to his room. After this conversation, Mo Shu also understood the management of the arena. The classification of ranks was very clear. People like Hazy would select boxers and hand them over to a manager like Boss Fang. If a boxer could be hired, Hazy would get a commission. Meanwhile, Boss Fang had to listen to his superior's orders. His superior would tell him when competitions would be held, when the boxers could go out, and when they could not go out. When a boxer reached a certain level of fame, they would be upgraded to the rank of a king boxer. The king boxers were jointly managed by a higher level of the management, who arranged the so-called King's War. Regardless of whether it was the amount of attention paid to the King's War or the amount of bets placed, it was not something that ordinary matches could compare to. Mo Shu suspected that Boss Fang was definitely not the boss behind the arena. However, once he came into contact with the boss, he would be closer to the truth. That night, Boss Fang asked Mo Shu if he had any objections to participating in 2 matches. Mo Shu replied, I have no objections, it's best if I fight every match, I'm here to earn money. The 2 opponents in this competition were not as strong as Bulldozer, and Mo Shu easily won. Of course, there was also the beating after his victory and the scarlet fists that resulted after. This time, he had finally established his reputation as Blood Fist. All the audience knew that there was a college entrance examination champion in the underground arena called Blood Fist. On the 3rd day, Mo Shu fought against 5 contestants and won all of the matches. On the 4th day, Mo Shu fought against 9 contestants and won all of the matches. On the 5th day, Mo Shu fought against 7 contestants and won all of the matches. Mo Shu had won a total of 24 matches since his debut, and all of them had been great victories. No one had been able to hurt Mo Shu at all. Mo Shu was naturally referred to as the newcomer king by others. Due to his dazzling achievements, he was promoted to the rank of king boxer. Every king boxer had to fight one battle after another, and they had to go through dozens of battles before they were able to advance. However, Mo Shu only took 5 days. Today was the 6th day since he had arrived here. Mo Shu sighed. It was truly easy to lose oneself in the rapidly growing wealth and the cheers of the audience during the battle. In just 5 days and 24 matches, Mo Shu had earned 1.53 million yuan. This time, the mission reward was only 800,000 yuan. Furthermore, the reward would be shared among 4 people. It was no wonder that the laws of the alliance were so strict. There were always people who took the risk to do illegal things to profit. The profits were simply too shocking. After all, Mo Shu was only a boxer. The boss behind this arena would probably earn countless amounts of money every match. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door, and Mo Shu knew that what was supposed to come had finally come. When Mo Shu opened the door, he saw Boss Fang say with a respectful expression, Mo Shu, congratulations on advancing to the rank of king boxer. From now on, you're no longer under my jurisdiction. It's such a pity. When I worked with you, Mo Shu angrily interrupted Boss Fang and said, all right, we're already so close. Just tell me how much you earned. Boss Fang smiled and said, ha ha ha, I didn't earn as much as you. Let's go. Then, Boss Fang brought Mo Shu to a room in the hotel. Mo Shu was a little puzzled. Could the entire organization be in this hotel? Boss Fang said softly, Mo Shu, go in. I won't go in. The person inside is called Shui Jin. He's the person in charge of the entire arena. After knocking on the door a few times, the door opened. It was a middle-aged man in his 40s. Mo Shu did not hold back after entering. He found a chair and sat down. Are you the person in charge here? How much can you pay me if you arrange a king's war for me? The middle-aged man was not angered by Mo Shu's rudeness. Instead, he returned to the table and sat down before speaking. Let me introduce myself. My name is Shui Jin, and I am indeed the most powerful person here. As for how much money you can earn, it all depends on you. Mo Shu frowned. What do you mean? Speak clearly. Shui Jin replied, after you become a king boxer, you will become one of us. Without a fixed appearance fee, how much you can take depends on how much we earn. Mo Shu lowered his head in silence. Shui Jin laughed loudly. Ha ha ha, don't worry. As long as you are obedient, you will only earn more than before. As long as I'm obedient? What does that mean? I know that you are very strong. You can always win competitions in the early stages. However, we will arrange for you to lose a few matches occasionally. Do you understand? Mo Shu stood up unhappily and turned to leave. As he walked, he said, I won't lose. After Mo Shu left, Shui Jin leaned back in his chair. He muttered to himself, there's no one I can't control. No one can resist all of their desires. Before Mo Shu had come, he had known that the underground arena would make profits through fake fights. He had left this time because he wanted Shui Jin to take the initiative to find him. This would allow him to obtain more useful information. After returning to his room, Mo Shu sent Shui Jin's name and physical characteristics to Mu Qingyi and the others. Half an hour later, Mo Shu received a reply from Yu Yuan. Shui Jin is one of the more famous freelance investors in Shun City. He has many shares in many companies under his name and has 5% shares in Sky Treasure Hotel. After finding Hazy, Yu Yuan was also in charge of gathering intelligence. Occasionally, he would tell Mo Shu about the latest information. Mo Shu couldn't help but marvel at Yu Yuan's efficiency. He had managed to find out everything within half an hour. However, Mo Shu found it a little strange. As the person in charge of the arena, Shui Jin actually revealed his real name to others. Wasn't he afraid that the law enforcement team would find out? While he was thinking, his phone rang. This time, it was Lu Ziyang. Boss, Shui Jin has been suspected of being related to the arena many times, but the law enforcement team has no evidence. In addition, Shui Jin's prestige in Shun City is rather high, so the law enforcement team can't detain him for long. Mo Shu understood. This was a formidable person. There was nothing he could do even if the law enforcement team came. Finally, Mu Qingyi sent a message. What should I do? Mo Zio thought for a moment and smiled strangely. Do me a favor. I have 1.53 million yuan here, you. Mo Shu waited for a day. When it was finally close to night, he was told to go to Shui Jin's room. The moment Shui Jin's door opened, Mo Shu was stunned. It was unlike the time in the morning when Shui Jin was alone. This time, there were 7 or 8 people working in the room, making the spacious room especially crowded. Mo Shu said casually, Boss, I'm here. Why are you looking for me? Shui Jin tossed a document to Mo Shu and said, You have a king's war scheduled for tonight. Go and prepare. This is the opponent's information. You can win tonight. Mo Shu threw the documents on the ground and said, I don't like people ordering me around. I can win if I want to and lose if I want to. Shui Jin did not raise his head. He was still busy with his work and handed Mo Shu a piece of paper, saying, This is the expected reward for winning tonight. When Shui Jin handed him the piece of paper, Mo Shu activated God's Eye. First skill. Voice Transformation 2. Skill effect. Changes the user's voice to a desired voice. Second skill. Reflex 2. Skill effect. The user cannot be recorded by any equipment. Third skill. Perception 2. Skill effect. The user can sense the detection type skills that others use on you and lock onto their target. Fourth skill. Charge 2. Skill effect. Increases speed by 500%. Duration. 1 minute. Cooldown. 1 hour. Shui Jin seemed to have sensed something. He suddenly raised his head and looked around before looking at Mo Shu in confusion. I still have things to do. You can go back first. Shui Jin could clearly sense that someone was investigating him, but he could not lock onto the other party. This was the first time such a situation had happened in so many years. Mo Shu suppressed the nervousness in his heart and said, All right, I want to keep winning. After saying that, he turned around and left. The moment he left, Mo Shu took a deep breath. This Shui Jin was simply a freak. Out of the 4 skills, He had 3 anti-detection skills that did not have a cooldown time, while the last skill was an escape skill. He could change his voice and was not afraid of being recorded. Furthermore, others could not take photographs of him or investigate him. This way, it was no wonder that the law enforcement team could not find any evidence. He was simply a natural lawbreaker. Moreover, Shui Jin's skills were all at level 2. This was too abnormal. Mo Shu wasn't sure if he had been exposed. Shui Jin's third skills could allow him to lock onto the person investigating him, but looking at his reaction just now, it did not seem like he had discovered Mo Shu. After returning to his room, Mo Shu decided to continue his mission. Shui Jin did not seem to be faking it just now. He must have discovered someone investigating for some reason but could not lock onto the target. It took a while for Mo Shu to recall the piece of paper Shui Jin had given him. When he looked at it, Mo Shu was frightened. It listed the payment that Mo Shu would receive tonight. Ticket shares. 80,000 yuan. Expected tips. 350,000 yuan. Estimated revenue from bets. 1 million yuan. The remuneration for a match was actually more than 1 million. This was too exaggerated. While he was shocked, Mo Shu also scolded the person who assigned the mission to the shadows. How did such a mission only have a reward of 800,000 yuan? Mo Shu calmed down and understood Shui Jin's intentions. He wanted to use money to make Mo Shu obedient. There were a total of 3 sources of revenue on this piece of paper. 2 of them were estimated, which meant that this piece of paper should have been given to the contestants after the competition. However, the reason Shui Jin had given it to Mo Shu was to tell Mo Shu that the profits were large enough. If he was obedient, he would earn even more in the future. Mo Shu sent a message to Mu Qingyi and the other 2, telling them to investigate Shui Jin properly. It was very likely that Shui Jin was the boss behind this. With the way he did things, the skill and ease he had shown while he was busy, his shares in the Sky Treasure Hotel, and his extremely powerful anti-detection skills, Shui Jin definitely had the ability to organize such an arena. In that case, would he still need someone to rely on? Would he still have to risk his life for others? When Yu Yuan and Lu Ziyang received Mo Shu's message, they suggested that they inform the law enforcement team directly. Even if they didn't have any evidence, they could at least arrest the culprit, right? Mu Qingyi did not say anything and listened to Mo Shu's arrangements. Mo Shu decided to wait. He felt that this matter was too simple. At 10 p.m., today's finale is a King's War. Sparta, whom everyone has been looking forward to, will be participating today. Sparta has not lost in 2 months and has only lost once in his career. In the arena, the MC was introducing the battle results of a boxer nicknamed Sparta, who was warming up for a match as usual. Mo Shu sat backstage and did not see Shui Jin. Could it be that Shui Jin would not come to watch the competition? Who's Sparta's opponent? You should have guessed by now. Everyone shouted in unison, "Blood Fist, Blood Fist, Blood Fist." In fact, a promotion had been done before the tickets were sold. Thus, everyone knew about the battle tonight. The reason why the MC said this was to stir up the audience's emotions. That's right. The other contestant today is the newcomer king who has achieved 24 victories in 5 days, Blood Fist. Upon hearing the MC call his name, Mo Shu stood up and walked towards the stage. Sparta was a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s. His body was strong, and all 4 skills increased his attributes. Shui Jin had probably arranged this match because he felt that Sparta and Mo Shu's competition methods were similar. It would be a very interesting match. Both sides look at each other. Mo Shu continued to look at his opponent nonchalantly. Sparta, who was standing opposite him, was not as angry as Bulldozer. Instead, he looked calmly at Mo Shu. This was different from Mo Shu's previous matches. This time, the audience was not one-sided. Instead, each side had their own supporters. Mo Shu had fewer supporters. This was probably why Shui Jin had let Mo Shu win. The competition begins. Ah! Sparta roared, and his body grew larger. It seemed that he had unleashed all his skills. Meanwhile, a golden glow appeared on Mo Shu's body as he activated Descent of the Martial God. Then, he rushed forward and threw a punch. Sparta was not to be outdone and also threw a punch. The 2 fists collided. Sparta clutched his right hand and fell to his knees in pain. He looked at Mo Shu in disbelief and said, "Impossible, impossible. How can you be so strong?" Mo Shu frowned slightly. He hadn't used his full strength in that punch just now. The two punches were evenly matched, so why was this person in so much pain? Mo Shu looked around the arena and saw Shui Jin at the center. Shui Jin was smiling at him, so that was the case. Mo Shu had thought that the contestants in the King's War would be stronger and more difficult to deal with. However, from the looks of it now, the King's War was simply a joke. It wasn't a competition of strength but acting skills. Mo Shu didn't have any interest in continuing the battle. He wanted to get off the stage and continue acting arrogant. However, after thinking about it, he stopped. Mo Shu raised his fists and beat Sparta like he did in the first 24 matches. Just like that, the match that the audience had been looking forward to ended without any suspense. After the competition ended, Mo Shu returned to his room. At midnight, Mo Shu went to find Shui Jin to settle scores. Bang! 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 Mo Shu knocked on the door as though he was venting his emotions. Shui Jin opened the door and smiled. "Come in, I'm waiting for you." After entering the room, Mo Shu realized that there was another person inside. It was a man in his 50s or 60s. What was he calculating? He didn't notice Mo Shu entering at all. This man's name was Zhang Saiyuan, Shui Jin's accountant. Suddenly, Zhang Saiyuan said, "Boss, the profits have been calculated." After handing a document to Shui Jin casually placed it on the table. Even though Shui Jin was very careful, Mo Shu still saw that the profits were 3 million yuan. Mo Shu was the first to speak. "Boss Shui, you're being a little too unreasonable. Why did you let my opponent go easy on me? Do you think I can't beat him?" Boss Shui threw Mo Shu a card and said, "This is your reward. It's a little more than what we planned." Mo Shu asked, "How much is that?" "You'll get 1.8 million yuan. Mo Shu was shocked, not because he had never seen money before. It was because Shui Jin had given him 1.8 million yuan, but the profit was only 3 million yuan. Mo Shu would never believe that Shui Jin would give him half of his profits. He would not be the only one in this competition. Sparta would also get a share. If the profits Mo Shu had just seen were real, then what did Shui Jin rely on to earn money? Mo Shu was thinking quickly, but in Shui Jin's eyes, Mo Shu was scared silly. "What's wrong, Mo Shu? Don't be agitated. This money is all yours. Go back to your room. I've prepared a gift for you." Mo Shu nodded and walked back to his room in a daze. The moment he entered, he saw two women lying on his bed. Mo Shu closed the door and smiled at the two women. The next morning, two women sat in Shui Jin's office. They were the two who had appeared in Mo Shu's room last night. Shui Jin asked, "Are you telling me that Mo Shu didn't reject you yesterday? Tell me what he did yesterday. Be more detailed." The two girls chimed in, "This young man is really healthy. He carried us to the bed the moment he came in." "That's right. He looks young but has a big appetite. He was definitely going to eat us both." That's right. His health is really good. His body is really good. Yesterday, he even," Shui Jin interrupted, "All right, there's no need to say anymore. You guys can leave." Shui Jin smiled and muttered to himself, "Mo Shu is just a child. He should slowly lose himself in his desires." That night, Mo Shu conducted another King's War. As expected, it was arranged by Shui Jin, and Mo Shu easily won. Mo Shu's income was still 1.8 million yuan this time. However, the rewards and tickets shares had increased, while his revenue from bets had decreased. When Mo Shu returned to his room, there were two more beauties. This time, Mo Shu went straight to Shui Jin and caused a huge ruckus. He insisted on looking for the two women from the previous night. He even said that they were acquaintances and cooperated well. Shui Jin did not know whether to laugh or cry. He could only find those two women and instruct them to stay by Mo Shu's side. Mo Shu's actions made Shui Jin believe that Mo Shu was easy to control. Then, Mo Shu brought the two women back to his room. The moment Mo Shu entered the room, he took out 2 stacks of cash and threw them on the table. "We'll follow the same old rules. Each person will receive 20,000 yuan. You can earn as long as I stay here." Upon hearing Mo Shu's words, The two girls immediately came over to take their share. One of the women asked, "Brother Bloodfist, are you really not good in that aspect? You look so brave and fierce, but it doesn't seem like it." Mo Shu glared at the woman and said, "Don't mention this again. This is my weakness. Don't blame me for being impolite." Another woman chimed in, "We feel bad taking 20,000 yuan for free every day. Why don't we help you shower?" Mo Shu laughed strangely. There's no need. After I realized that I'm not good at that, I think I prefer men." The two women were shocked and stopped talking. In reality, the night before, Mo Shu had already told the two girls that he had some flaws in some aspects. They were not allowed to speak of this scandal. If they helped Mo Shu keep the secret, they would each receive 20,000 yuan. At first, the two girls didn't really believe it. However, Mo Shu later told them that not only could they not say that he was no good to outsiders, they also had to say that he was very good. The two girls immediately understood Mo Shu's thoughts and agreed immediately. That was why they had the conversation with Shui Jin. It was the 8th day since Mo Shu arrived. It was still a great victory. This time, after Mo Shu won, he didn't immediately return backstage. Instead, he interacted with the audience and stirred up their emotions. This was Shui Jin's instructions. This was the first time Mo Shu had been obedient. That day, his income was 1.2 million. His ticket shares and tips were still increasing. However, his revenue from bets was 0, which meant that Shui Jin was already starting to lose money. On the 9th day, Mo Shu was arranged to fight against Hades, who had the highest points among the king boxers. Mo Shu had thought that Shui Jin would make him lose this round, but he did not expect that Shui Jin would order him to win. Shui Jin had great plans. He wanted to make Mo Shu an undefeated legend, and then make Mo Shu lose another match. At that time, all the money he had lost would be returned, and he would make a fortune. Mo Shu won this match again, but it was not easy. Shui Jin had arranged for this match to last for half an hour. Meanwhile, the audience witnessed the birth of the new king of the arena. It only took 9 days. Even so, Mo Shu cooperated from beginning to end. Shui Jin knew that Mo Shu had already become his money-making tool and had no other thoughts. He had earned 1.35 million yuan today, but the return from bets was still 0. When Mo Shu returned to his room, the two women were still in his room. Mo Shu secretly sent a message to Mu Qingyi and the other two. "Ants, prepare to draw in your nets.